was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
I think we can all agree. Over the last few years, things have gotten weird.
Weird, confusing, and at times, pretty scary.
And for our kids, these things can be overwhelmingly stressful.
And can increase the risk for mental health problems as they grow.
But there's so much hope.
Scientific research and real-life experience
tell us that the number one antidote to stress is authentic, trusted relationships.
So that's why I.
That's why I.
That's why we.
That's why I am committed to building and maintaining a trusted space.
For the students I influence every single day.
Until schools across the country
can proudly call ourselves a trusted space.
This is 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 a trusted space.
Access free films and resources to build trusted spaces in your schools and communities at atrustedspace.org.
From the 1-800-HURT-NOW Traffic Center. Hurt in a car? Call KNR.
This report brought to you by Tri-County Electric Service.
Tri-County Electric is now offering plumbing. Locally owned and operated for over 50 years with a 4.9-star Google review rating. Whether it's for home or business, call today to get a free estimate for your plumbing and electrical needs or visit tricountyelectricservice.com.
Good news from early this morning as the Guardians would rally and beat the Angels. Let's hope the good news continues this morning on your commute to downtown Cleveland. Jeff Thomas, Odyssey Cleveland Traffic.
Broadcasting from the 92.3 The Fan Studios, fueled by True North Convenience Stores. This is where Cleveland comes to talk Browns football. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan, WKRK-FM and HD1 Cleveland Heights. An Odyssey Sports Station.
92.3 The Fan, 2020 Sports.
Now, the Guardians once trailed the Angels 5-0, but had rallied. Jose Ramirez tied the game at 6 in the top of the 8th, an RBI double, then in the top of the 10th. Jose coming up big once again.
Right center field, that's getting the alley, that'll go, the wall. Rocchio scores, here comes Quan. Here's the throw to the plate, safe. Jose Ramirez does it again, his third double of the night. He's driven in 5, and he's put Cleveland in front for the first time in the game.
That Kersey Guardians TV. Good guys win it 8-6. Guardians win their 6th in a row. Ramirez finished with 3 doubles, and like you heard, 5 runs batted in. Stephen Kwan matched a career-high 5 base hits, including an RBI single. He scored 3 times. Guardians stayed 2.5 games in back of the White Sox in the American League Central. Guardians outfielder Chase DeLauder out of the starting lineup for the 2nd straight game on Tuesday night. DeLauder continues to be bothered by that sore left hamstring. DeLauder was used as a pinch hitter in the 9th inning last night against the Angels, but he would strike out. The Guardians hoping DeLauder is going to be back in the lineup today as the series wraps up this afternoon. Browns going to have Dylan Gabriel starting quarterback tomorrow night in the preseason finale against New England. Rookie Taylon Green will take over and finish the game. Deshaun Watson, who's named the starter this week, and his backup, Shedeur Sanders, not going to play at the stadium tomorrow night. Speaking of Watson and Sanders, head coach Todd Monken admitting on Tuesday it was obvious Watson had the lead back in the spring, but Sanders did make it quite the competition. Monken also saying that Sanders will, at some point this season, show he's ready to play. The coach, though, just doesn't know when that's going to be. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next time for the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
The Afternoon Drive.
When they asked him last week, they said, Deshaun, were you worried about the boos? And he's like, oh, no, I don't really care about those things. I'm not worried about it, whatever that was. After listening to him today, I genuinely do believe that when they asked that question, he just never envisioned a world where boos would actually come. That's part of, I think, what he was clarifying. And the idea of today of like, I just didn't see it coming. I didn't see boos happening. There's something's gotten distorted with his brain where he genuinely thinks people around Cleveland like him. He genuinely thinks that everyone's just forgotten and we've just wiped away 4 years of bad football and all the off-field allegations and everything else.
I mean, it does make sense that the Browns and Deshaun have been a flawless marriage off the field because neither of them have any modicum of self-awareness.
The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
He smacked that one up the alley in right center. It's a 2-run double for Jose Ramirez, and the Guardians have cut the gap to 5-3. Line drive and a single into right field. Here comes the tying run. Up and headed home. He's going to score. Throw goes to third. It's cut off. In safely is Rocchio, and the Guardians are pouring it on here in Anaheim as the 2-out hits just keep it coming.
There it is. I knew he was going.
That's going to get down. Here comes Quan. Here's the throw. It is cut off. Throw to second. Not in time there. Jose delivers again, and we're tied at 6. Trout gets into one. Deep center field. Angel Martinez back at the wall. He's got it. Ah, what a catch. Angel Martinez. He had nowhere left to go, and he reeled it in to save the day for Cleveland. Right center field. That's getting the alley. That'll go. The wall. Rocchio scores. Here comes Quan. Here's the throw to the plate. Safe. Jose Ramirez does it again. His third double of the night. He's driven in 5, and he's put Cleveland in front for the first time in the game.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Audio Guardians TV. It's the win of the year. Social media reactions on X. Hold on. Hi, Lima. How are you?
What's up?
The Andy Roth rule. Sorry. Oh, and social media reactions on X are brought to you by
Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Well, no, you can say it out loud now.
I'm not.
Oh, he ain't feeling good. Uh-oh, spaghetti.
Stayed up watching too much Guardians baseball.
Oh, no. All right, give them what they paid for, Tone. Tell everybody what the social media reactions on X are brought to you by.
Brought to you by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Corey asked, win of the year for the Gardos. And I say, possibly.
It's the most recent.
I got to go back and look through the book.
6 in a row.
It's the Levine rule.
Well, come from behind.
It's not just 6 in a row. It's the come from behind, and it's also they do all that, and they don't hit any home runs in the comeback, Tone. There are no home runs in the comeback. So Gavin Williams had his first rough outing since about 1994. 93. Then 94 got shortened because of strike. And it's 5-0.
It doesn't even make it through the second inning.
Probably a lot of people. I don't blame you guys. I mean, the games start late. They're on the West Coast. So, I mean, if you went to bed, you're like, okay, the hell with this.
Done.
Yeah. Like, there's no Carson to stay up for anymore. So you decided to go to bed. Like, no shame on you. That's fine. And they come back without a home run. Again, without a home run. And they played all those runs. They get 13 hits throughout the game, little by little, put up 3 in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, 1 in the 8th. Then they get it in the top of the 10th. Possibly the win of the year. They're back over 500.
Yeah, 14 pitchers used in this game combined between the two teams.
And they are now 2.5 back of the Chicago White Sox. And I liken them this year. If there's a lockout, things change. And I understand for a lot of fans who'd be like, Kenny, they're pros. It's professional sports. It's not college. However, and it sounds like an excuse for the Dolans. I'm not doing it. I can only go with what I have, okay? I can only see for what they are. I liken them to college football, and I treat them like college football. What do I mean by that? Like I asked yesterday, because somebody said no. And I had asked yesterday, is it enough for them to win the division anymore? Is it enough for them to get to the postseason? And I take that all in, at one point you're 5 games under 500. Things look bad. You make these trades. Immediately you hit this slump. And then I think about everything that we look at when it comes to college football teams. Like when you and I do it on the pod and stuff like that, the emerging podcast scene. Because the first thing I thought of was, well, they've won a lot in a row, but the first thing people are going to say, they've played some really bad teams. Including, like Bull on Monday when he was on with Afternoon Drive, he's like, yeah, I knew that they were going to play the worst teams in baseball coming up, and I said they still had a chance. And so, like, college football, they'll call you a schedule merchant for that. Like, you don't have a tough non-con, and then maybe with how the new schedules add up, you don't get the hardest schedule.
Yeah, but you don't play everyone in college football. In Major League Baseball now, you play everyone.
I understand that. And then there's another part to it. Like, if you pay attention to the Big Ten this year, there's no reason to pay attention to Purdue other than this. They have, like, no money for NIL. None. They lost their kicker because of NIL. They got nothing. And so Barry Odom is like a dead man walking. You're in the same conference as Ohio State. Has NIL for everybody. If Owen could get them something more in offense and defense, they'd give Owen money. Whatever you can do. Get him. Go. Here's the money. Go. Take the money. They get like in the TV shows, they get a big wad of bills and throw it at your chest, Owen. Like, that's how it would work. And that's kind of how I see the Guardians this year. That sounds like a tremendous excuse for the Dolans. It's not. Like, you're supposed to be on the same. Like, if you wanted to pay into it, you could pay into it. We saw what the Padres have done over the years where you had an owner who right before he died robbed Peter to pay Paul. You got new owners coming in. They're vowing World Series. They're spending all the money. Like, you don't have to be that way, but they are. So in a loose way, I kind of liken it to college football. And I'm like, okay, if Purdue went to a bowl game, I think that would be a tremendous season for them. If the Guardians go to the postseason, I know they've been to the postseason a lot. I still think if I put it in a vacuum for this team with how young they are, what they've had to go through this year, the inequities of the top teams or the team that is the odds-on favorite to win their third straight World Series, as compared to you, I'd say this has been a hell of a run if you're able to get to the postseason here, Tone.
Oh, I have mixed emotions about that. Obviously, we kind of buried them a few weeks ago. I think everybody thought that it was looking very, very bleak. What were the tough series? I mean, they had some really measuring stick series, and they look like, this is not a team that is ready for prime time.
At one point last week, they were under 20% for the playoff odds. They are now at 56% to make the postseason.
And obviously, it's nowhere near as tough to make the baseball postseason as it used to be when we were younger.
Well, yeah, but times change.
You literally...
It's nowhere near as tough to make a bowl game as it was when we were younger.
But you literally can just play 500 baseball and you make the postseason. So just making the postseason in and of itself, they will celebrate. Teams will always, after 162, celebrate. But it's nowhere near a measuring stick as it used to be for where you are, within baseball. But... this will be yet another year where they've been counted out and they figured it out.
Yeah, I think you're but the Mariners, what did they go 20 years without making the postseason? And that's a pretty big market. That's a good ball club now. I
now,
do
would
think
that have
it's
been the
still
case
something.
If they were in the Central? Because that always gets thrown.
Yeah, but I
always gets thrown at the Guardians too. It's the fact that you're in the Central.
Okay, but you're in a division that has a team in the third biggest market in the country, and then you also have a team that's in the sixth or seventh biggest market in the country. Like Minneapolis is a hell of a lot bigger. Minneapolis, St. Paul is a hell of a lot bigger than any of us realize. Only one of us have been there, and the buildings were very, very large for that guy.
Yeah, you'd be 11 games out if you were in the East, right?
Okay, well, we're not in the East. Thank goodness. Well, was it Larry Dolan or was it the Jacobs that made sure that we weren't in the East? He had the eyes. Which one was it? Was it the Jacobs or
still owned the team when?
Because we could have been in the East apparently, and they were like, "Nah, we're going to go to the Central over here." And they might have seen the writing on the wall, but I mean, this is a team. Again, the White Sox are in Chicago, and they've spent a bunch of money before, and they haven't been able to do it. It's not like Cleveland forever in the Central. I'm just trying to look at it for now going, hey, there's a lot of things that I do think are problems with baseball that trickle to the Guardians. All right? Well, I can't really address those until the winter when the lockout comes. All right? But I look at what the team is now where you have 11 guys who are rookies At 7:20, we're going to have this big Ralphie Velasquez discussion because somebody in the hallway called them unserious if they don't call up Ralphie Velasquez, and I think it's worth the debate, worth the discussion. Coming up at 7:20 this morning.
He's made it worth the debate.
Yes. So I don't think that we should ever fart on the postseason. I don't think we should ever poo-poo it. I don't think we should ever just yawn about it because
What about in the NBA? Should you do that for the Cavs? Nobody seems to care if they make the playoffs.
Well, you've spent the most money in the NBA last year. I don't know if I can throw that in there. I understand it's a cap league, but you had the most expensive roster in the NBA.
Very different cap situation.
Had you not made the postseason this last year, like if the Guardians spent as much as the Dodgers and they didn't make the postseason, they'd be seen as the Mets, and they would be seen as a laughingstock. Like it's somewhat explainable. Listen, I understand. Like the same old always gets brought up with the money. I'm just trying to look at it in a vacuum because if they do make the postseason, I want to be, I want to be excited. I want to be, I think that there's some satisfaction to it, and I just consider this year as the journey, not what they've done in the past. Because remember, if I was going to, now I'm trying to remain as right down the line as possible. What did I tell you last week, and what did I tell you the week before? I couldn't make an argument for the Guardians to make the postseason this year without bringing up last year. So if I'm going to do that, then I have to give them credit for this year, for who they are this season. If you think I'm full of it, then fine, tell me. But I'm just trying to remain
I'm kind of the same way
right
I am.
Down the line center as I possibly can.
Hey, look, right now, no, it's not enough for them to just make the playoffs. Like if they just get eliminated, everyone's gonna be mad. And then we'll be the next time we're playing baseball, whatever season it is, and you see the economic disparities. Like I'm very wishy-washy on this because then I'll be like, man, we take a lot of this for granted. We're not really we're not playing the same sport as everybody else. You're just hoping to make the playoffs, and then you're hoping you can say along the way, it's baseball. Yeah, we won that game. It's baseball. How did we beat that team? And they have a $150, $200, $300 million payroll more than we do. It's baseball. Mm-hmm. Like you're hoping the flukiness of the sport can help you out come postseason time because on paper you're going to be massive underdogs.
But because of what these teams are, like the odds would be in somebody else's favor, depending on how hot you are by that time. But I would imagine that the teams in the American League East. I know Boston is streaking. They're a little bit of a different animal right now. But I think with those teams, you would look at it and see you would see it a little bit differently. And I think the history of the Guardians, the history of their team, it buys them currency with me emotionally. But I just keep going back to what I've said over the last couple of weeks. I think it would be pretty hypocritical if I were to say it's still not enough. Well, wait a minute. If you said it was enough because of what they did, then how can I turn around and be excited about this? Because I am excited. They've won 6 in a row. That was a tremendous win.
Either way, you'll be excited day one of the postseason. It's just every year we bring up the Steelers every year. Every year you make
but our words are on record.
And you make the playoffs. This will be 8 of 11 years that they've made the playoffs. So just by sheer number, it's not as impressive as it used to be to make the playoffs. They do it all the time. It's the expectation. The expectation, regardless, because they've done it with low payrolls. So even doing it at a low payroll is not some massive accomplishment when you look at it, when you zoom out from a macro level. But we'll be excited day one that we're not eliminated and we're playing in the playoffs. But that'll still be awesome.
Overall, I think you're going to be right. Like if they went to the wild card and they just lost in the wild card and that's it, like yes, I think the history would show you're right. But if I go year by year, like there was a year the Steelers started out, 0-4? Because I remember we were living in Tremont, and they started 0-4. I think they finished 8-8. It's like, well, that's a pretty good run for a season, considering how bad it started with the Steelers that year. Like that's a pretty good run for that year. This would be a pretty damn good run for this year for the Cleveland Guardians. Now, the Steelers, I don't know how many rookies they had off the top of my head. I follow them closely because of who they are, but I don't follow them that closely because we're Browns fans here. But I think following the Guardians, when you have all the youth that you've had this season, I just, in the grand scheme, I don't know how much that they've really been expected to compete. If you were just dropping in on the Guardians and you didn't have an emotional attachment whatsoever,
we're not
you probably wouldn't expect them to compete.
Nobody seriously expects this team to make a deep, deep, deep run and get to the World Series.
But for some, it might be same old, same old. Because, if you lose in the postseason, unless it's in the World Series, I do think some people are they're going to be viscerally angry. You're going to be mad that they lost in the postseason and probably say some things that are very upsetting to yourself because you bring in all the history. But I just see it for right now. Things are going very, very well for them. 216-474-0092. And to me, it's the biggest win of the year, or probably the biggest win of the year. Again, I got to go look in the book.
Let me ask you, what is your level of celebration if this team, say you fast forward 1 month and 1 day, end of the season, and they're in the playoffs? What is your level of Ken Carman going nuts?
I don't remember the last time I went nuts when they got to the postseason.
I don't think anybody does anymore because it's expected. They are expected to make the playoffs every year.
That's true.
So then, does that kind of answer the question?
But am I not satisfied that they made it? Or am I not excited?
I will wake up.
What's the word that I'm looking for?
I will wake up the day of their first playoff game and be excited and look for my Guardians gear and try to figure out if I can go. Hopefully, it's always a day baseball game. You can go meet up with your buds and it'll be like old times. Like that's what gets me excited. But the day that they get into the playoffs, if they do, I'm not going to have a visceral, like a bunch of fist pumps of fury and let's throw a party. I'm not there with this team because they've spoiled us. They make the playoffs all the time.
216-474-0092. So it's not enough just to make the postseason?
No, I mean, we've done that. We've done that a bunch of times. Let's
never do it again. Let's never have the conversation again. We'll never do the boo conversation either. We'll never have the quarterback conversation either. I mean, if we just avoid at all costs conversations we had in the past.
We're having the conversation.
Okay.
I'm just telling you how my feeling is. Like, that'll be nice if they make the playoffs, but that if they get eliminated in the first round, we're all going to be miserable. We're all going to say, this year was not a
I think I'm
going to
be miserable. That's the thing. I don't think I'm going to be miserable. Should I be miserable if they
I can't tell you how to feel. I mean, that's your visceral feeling.
Well, no, but you can tell me that I'm underreacting, or because I think that if I say I'm not miserable, that turns into a big fat excuse for ownership for a lot of fans. Me saying I'm satisfied that they've made the postseason.
They did stuff at the deadline. Adele looks like a fantastic addition.
Understood.
Your pitching staff is rounding into form.
But I think at that moment, if they were to lose in the postseason, I think to a lot of people, I'm just making an excuse because they haven't won in 78 years. So that would not be looked kindly upon.
I feel like you gotta win a wild card round. You gotta win. You gotta get to the ALDS for it to be a real season, to have any kind of celebration, because then you will have eliminated a team. Then you will have celebrated. That means so much more than just making the playoffs in Major League Baseball. I do not think making the playoffs. By the way, I'd say the same thing if we weren't in a Brownstown. I'd say that in the NFL. Bad teams make the playoffs every year in the NFL. We don't. When we look at the Houston Texans and how many times they've made the playoffs, does anybody think the Texans are a model franchise? Like, I don't think people really look at them that way. They just say, they're in a bad division. They make the playoffs all the time.
A strong case,
and that's
you
the
make
NFL
there.
because they've watered it down. All these sports have watered down the playoff field.
I mean, that's why Sean McDermott got fired, right? Like, if it was just making the playoffs, he'd still be there. That's why they wanted Mike Tomlin let go over there at our sister station in Pittsburgh, which, by the way, we will have somebody on from our sister station in Pittsburgh. It'll be Chris Muller, 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh, Ken Wyman, 105.7 The Fan in Baltimore, and Tony Pike, former quarterback, ESPN 1530 in Cincinnati. We'll go around the AFC North at 8. Joe Thomas, the Hall of Famer, he'll join us at 9. He'll give his thoughts on the QB race, also the offensive line of the Cleveland Browns. We'll talk to Joe coming up at 9. And it was this way in January. You're not surprised. You're mad because you're not surprised. Need an explanation? You'll get it in 5 on The Fan.
92.3 The Fan, 2020 Sports.
Now the Guardians rallied from 5 runs down and have beaten the Angels 8-6 in 10 innings. Jose Ramirez had 3 hits, including tie-breaking.
off your project. Call 877-98-PELA or visit PELACleveland.com.
The morning commutes this week, Monday and Tuesday, have been, well, a challenge, to put it nicely. Let's see if maybe the streak can come to a close today, as at least for the moment, things looking good as you make your way towards downtown Cleveland. Jeff Thomas, Odyssey Cleveland Traffic.
This is Browns head coach Todd Monken, and you're listening to the number one sports station in Cleveland, 92.3 The Fan.
When Todd Monken was hired, 7:20, more Guardians. 7:20. Because there's a debate going on about seriousness out in the hallway, and I wanted to bring it to the fans. When Todd Monken got the job back in January, we had said, well, we're getting the text, and he likes Deshaun Watson. And yesterday on the Todd Monken show, which things are going well. I'm already getting tweets that people are calling him Todd Muppet. We haven't had an official regular season game. I know. So
is there buyer's remorse already? Do they wish we had you Dizzy? Do they wish we had Shieldhouse?
Like, it was so... Let me take a quick right turn here. Like, it was so ridiculous, and I avoided it as best I could. Like, it got brought up once when you were out, and I'm like, let's get off the subject as soon as we can about the possibilities of Todd Monken being a one and done, because I'm like, guys, we haven't even got to training camp yet. This was back on, because Lima never takes a week off, but this was like a day that you needed to take off for something, and I forget who was in, and somebody brought it up, and I'm like, let's get off this subject as quick as possible. It's downright ghoulish to talk about whether or not this guy's going to be one and done before they've even had training camp, for crying out loud. The difference was the quarterback decision. And now, already, you got a lot of Browns fans, just washing their hands of him. Nope, we're done. And it's like, whew. It's like, okay. It's like, I said, well, the honeymoon's over. Eventually you got to get into real life. The plane comes back. It's like they had a fight on the tarmac, man. And, okay, this is what you married, honey. It's like one of them deals. And they're not very thrilled with him right now. And you and I think we're a little bit surprised by the reaction. I mean, you're putting some people are putting signs downtown. They got things that you really can't repeat on signs downtown. Not just the Jim Brown statue, there's some other ones that we saw in the news last night. 8 did a story about it. There's people posting these pictures all downtown. They're very upset about it.
Which they didn't do when he was first signed. There was some backlash, but there wasn't this kind of effort.
No, and I saw the Candace Buckner clip, and I'm like,
So who is that?
She's a writer for The Athletic. I shouldn't say clip, I should say story, and she went after everybody, including the fans. I'm like, yeah, well, it is professional sports.
She went after the fans.
She said the fans need to be looking themselves in the mirror, and I said, that's probably a little bit too far. Yeah,
wait, hold on. Why do we have to look at ourselves in the mirror?
Because apparently they weren't vociferous enough in booing him when he first.
Oh, when he first started. So now it's because he's not good at football and because he turned on the fans.
But it was like, hey man, plenty of people had problems with him coming here, and then you go, yeah, that's pro sports. He's gonna play. He's allowed to play.
Well, at the time, I remember
he paid whatever penalty, did whatever work he had to do to settle cases. This is America. We have to offer the judicial system. He had something to offer. Yes, it is a privilege, but we've been down that road a million times over 4 years ago.
And I remember the conversation distinctly that we were having, and there were callers on both sides of this. I don't love that we had to get a guy with all this baggage, but why did the Steelers get to celebrate their guy? Why did the Ravens get to celebrate their guys? So it's our turn. It's our turn, so nobody can tell us anything. And that just so happened that he was awful at football.
Yeah, and we didn't win. So, yeah, is it hypocritical? Yes, but there's so many things in sports that are hypocritical. And I just felt, it's like, hey, man, we lived this for 4 years. Respectfully, you're just dropping in, and then you're going to drop back out. And if that's a problem, then I don't know. Maybe there should be something else that's going on for you. Because this is pro sports. And as bothered as I was, because I knew there was going to be a storm,
I figured, hey, okay, he's still a better quarterback than what we had. I'd rather them brought in a veteran to compete with what we had, but this is the route they went down. I didn't think it was going to go well. I didn't think it was going to go this bad. All right, back on track now. Monken, when he was hired, we had got the text and we had said, like, hey, he likes Watson. Like, we got to be prepared for Watson. And I think a lot of people mentally prepared themselves, but they didn't think that they would actually play Watson, and now they're going to start him. And this has brought back a lot of bad memories and opened some wounds of bad football and made some people upset. Also going out there and throwing 2 picks and looking terrible against the third-teamers against the Buffalo Bills will also draw the ire of a lot of fans no matter what. Whether they like Shedeur Sanders, don't really like Shedeur Sanders, or at least curious about him. The other guy, they really can't stand. There's no doubt about it. But you and I, we weren't surprised. And I think that maybe the fans, they're not surprised, and they're mad because they're not surprised. Because Todd Monken was on the Todd Monken Show yesterday, and he talked about how the competition or the development of a competition in the first place actually happened.
You could see early on in the offseason that Shedeur was getting better, and that's when the decision was made, okay, let's open this up. Had we made that decision earlier in camp, Deshaun is so much further ahead, just in terms of being around a number of offenses. In order to get Shedeur up to speed, we divide it, we turn into a competition, and he takes advantage of it and really does continue to improve, continue to each week get better with his command, the operation, everything about the offense. And so we come back for training camp, keep the same thing going. But we needed Shedeur to really beat out Deshaun, with being the first game being on the road, being in Jacksonville, and then Tampa, without throwing him out there to start the season from an operation standpoint, being on the road. Even though last weekend didn't go Deshaun's way, the full body of work said at this time, he gives us the best chance to win. I think the coaches believe that, our players on offense believe that, and that's the direction we went.
So if you're a Shedeur fan, I would just say, or you're a person who just can't stand Deshaun Watson, which there are plenty of people in both camps who also have owned Browns jerseys for a long time, I would think just be ready. Like still the truth, I think, is that Shedeur is going to play more than Deshaun Watson this year. That just because Shedeur, and this is the conversation we had on Monday, Shedeur is more encouraging. Shedeur, there's more curiosity. But just because there's those things, like, I don't know if I'd want to torpedo him either. This is going to be tough to say because a lot of people are mad at Todd Monken, but we said this last week. I don't want to torpedo Shedeur Sanders' season just because Deshaun Watson is a pariah in the city. I want to make sure he's really good and ready. Now, I would still play him tomorrow, but that's not my decision. Yes.
So for at least this whole week, I know you've said it more, but you've been pretty stand fast in Shedeur is going to play more than Watson.
I do believe so, yes.
What gives you this confidence?
Because I think the other guy's broken. I think the other guy's just completely
I think he's
terrible.
broken too, but apparently Todd Monken doesn't think he's broken because he's starting the season as the starting quarterback.
Totally get that. But I think that he thought that there might still be something there. And again, this is speculative, absolutely speculative. He thought there might be something there. I think he took the job. And the way it sounds like to there. Now, there's been a lot of people hearing things and making up their own things, so we can play it again and go back and forth. But this is what I'm thinking. He thought Deshaun Watson would be the starter. Like, your bridge quarterback was already here. We talked about all these guys. I'm like, guys, they got a really expensive bridge quarterback already. That's your bridge quarterback. I think he thought that he might be better than what he is. And then he takes the job, and Deshaun Watson's still Deshaun Watson, the Watson that we've all seen. And then Shedeur, as he says in this clip, proved to be a little bit better during the offseason, working hard, doing those things. But he's not to the level where Todd Monken is comfortable in starting him yet.
Right, and how's he going to get that work in? Because Todd even said in his press conferences, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that once the season gets going, Shedeur's really not getting reps with the ones and all.
But I think
the work he got
welcome
in
to
was,
life. That's welcome to life in the NFL. That's just the deal.
And that's why I'm critical of them not playing him tomorrow.
The supporters have always said, "Well, it's not fair. He doesn't get these reps." Well, that's the deal, man. So I just don't understand how anyone, after knowing what we know now and after the way the weekend went down and we still just came out and went with Watson, that anyone would say, "Oh, Shedeur," barring a Watson injury, that Shedeur would ever overtake him. He's not going to get the opportunities to overtake Deshaun Watson.
I do think we will get to a point where his play will be just so bad. There's nothing that gives me any confidence in Deshaun Watson whatsoever that he's going to be able to do well.
Well,
Sorry.
did you see, though,
there's nothing.
What they started running a lot more in practice, which I think is
Hopefully it's not passes.
well, you're right. It's not. It's RPO and it's read option runs, and I think all along they were going to save that stuff. You weren't
necessarily do it in the preseason.
You weren't necessarily going to see that stuff because I think that's going to be a big part of their offense, to be honest. And Shedeur, and you're not really running that stuff with Shedeur.
And think about this too: is that they put him in there originally, Shedeur last year before he was ready. They did not want him to play right then and there. The whole conversation was, well, he might get a handful of games or a couple of games at the end of the year, and then Dylan Gabriel had the concussion, and off Shedeur went. And honestly, after the Ravens game, which he did start to play decently right towards the end of the Ravens game.
They traded 2 quarterbacks before that.
Exactly. So I don't know. And you saw what Jason said, where he's like, this is going to be a redshirt year. Albert Breer said this is going to be a redshirt year.
Wasn't really supposed to play.
He played 7 games. He started 7. Was it start 7 games or play in 8 games? Which one was it?
Started 7.
Started 7, played in 8. So things don't always go the way that they're laid out to be. And I think Todd Monken was thinking he's not ready. But Todd Monken would turn right around and go, yeah, I know he's supposed to get ready, but he had way more first-team reps than he had last year. The only thing that I criticize, the thing that the difference is that I criticize, not the only thing. The thing I criticize is that if you think it's operational, why isn't he playing on Thursday? Because he can get good operations in. I just don't need to see anything more out of Dylan Gabriel. I'm interested and curious to see what we have in Taylon Green. Like, that doesn't get me going. And I can't be afraid that a guy's going to get injured based on that. So I do believe that sooner than later, because I have zero faith in Deshaun Watson, that Shedeur will get another crack at this thing. 216-474-0092. Did anybody interpret it any different? I want to play that clip when we come back. I'll play that clip again when we come back. Did anybody think anything different than what Todd's explanation was? Or you just think he's full of it and maybe the call was made on high, like Mike Florio said, coming up in 5 on The Fan.
and shiny, dry, and ready for the road, visit BlueFallsCarWash.com.
Blue Falls
Car Wash.
For the moment, we've got no slowdowns, we've got no accidents, so I'd say if you got somewhere to be this morning, leave now. Jeff Thomas, Odyssey Cleveland Traffic.
The best Guardians coverage is right here on Cleveland's Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan. Training camp coverage powered by Expert Renovations and Consumer Tire, 92.3 The Fan.
We're off and running. Almost had a computer crash there, but we took care of it. Hello. All right, so Todd Monken, I want to play that explanation again on the Todd Monken Show. What he says about what he thought the quarterback competition or lack thereof was going to be and how it became a competition. Here is the head coach of your Cleveland Browns.
You could see early on in the offseason that Shedeur was getting better, and that's when the decision was made, okay, let's open this up. Had we made that decision earlier in camp, Deshaun is so much further ahead, just in terms of being around a number of offenses. In order to get Shedeur up to speed, we divide it, we turn into a competition, and he takes advantage of it and really does continue to improve, continue to each week get better with his command, the operation, everything about the offense. And so we come back for training camp, keep the same thing going. But we needed Shedeur to really beat out Deshaun, with being the first game being on the road, being in Jacksonville, and then Tampa, without throwing him out there to start the season from an operation standpoint being on the road. Even though last weekend didn't go Deshaun's way, the full body of work said at this time, he gives us the best chance to win. I think the coaches believe that, our players on offense believe that, and that's the direction we went.
Okay, so he went in believing it was going to be Deshaun Watson. Then he saw the hard work, and he might have gotten the golden horse head from Shedeur. Platinum horse head? Either way, he got some plaster porcelain. Porcelain! I think it was porcelain horse head. Yeah, he got a porcelain horse head from Shedeur Sanders. That opened things up a little. That's a joke. He saw what Shedeur Sanders was doing, decided to open up the competition. And I think that, and we've said this a bunch, he just may not think that Shedeur Sanders is ready yet. And so he's not going to put Shedeur Sanders out there and double down on bad. Like, to put him out there, like, as of right now, like, we did this argument. Remember this argument with, what's his name? The kid from Notre Dame, DeShone Kizer. We had this fight. Remember, you and I had a knockdown, drag-out every single morning. Who's the best quarterback on the team? DeShone Kizer. Yeah, but that doesn't mean he's the most ready. Like, Shedeur, I do believe, is better than Deshaun Watson because I think Deshaun Watson is broken. Shedeur is not a basket case. I think Deshaun Watson is.
So even if he hasn't demonstrated that to this point, you just think it.
Well, I think I've seen better play out of Shedeur Sanders from what I've seen. But that doesn't mean he has a better grasp on the offense and readiness to go out there and compete. Like there is you notice this. I just want to point this out. As much as fans dislike Deshaun Watson, his teammates seem to be down with him.
Well, notice, I do want to make this point.
And so there might be a confidence in veterans there that he knows what to do in the huddle.
We have not seen a trickle, which always happens in sports, especially football. We have not seen a bunch of reports that the Browns are starting the wrong guy from inside the building.
No.
You are not seeing that. Normally, players are so many players. In fact, many of them won't even be on this team. So they would have no failure to get that message out if it was true. Like if there was this increasing army of Browns players who are like, no, they're starting the wrong guy. No. Shedeur has proven it every day. Like that gets out all the time. It always gets out, and that has not happened. So does that make you think at all? Like, hold on, maybe there truly is a belief that Deshaun has been the better guy and will be the better guy.
Well, it could be.
I know, man. You don't think he could be because we just think he's so broken that mentally he can't do it. But if the players thought that, they would certainly get the message out. Remember, it's their careers too on the line.
But then again, if if
the receivers thought, holy cow, no, we're going to battle with the wrong guy. Like they have their ways to get that message out. It has not happened.
Okay, like use the John. But what I'm pointing out is this: like use the John. I think you're trying to trap me, and I don't like it. No. So you're going to get me upset. But I'm trying to explain it here. Is like Deshaun Watson, if he's able, let's just use the John Gruden line, right? He covers his ears. Deshaun Watson hears it, goes in, flip right double, X-Jet, 36 counter naked raise. And he's able to do it, and they get it, and on two, ready? Like, that's it. And Shedeur Sanders goes in there, and it's because the only he just kind of hems and haws, and 36 count, like whatever. There's a problem there operationally. All right. What I've seen, what the fans have seen, is one guy play better and more confidently. That's Shedeur Sanders.
In the last game. That was not the case in the first game. People have forgotten the Bears game altogether.
Yes, I understand that. But when you saw one guy play so horrifically bad and then they make the thing, that's what you go with. Neither have been outrageously good, but I do think that a lot of fans are going to go, hey, man, Deshaun Watson's looking like garbage. He's supposed to be way better than the other one. The other guy, he's supposed to be a fifth-round pick, but he's looked better. So it hasn't been like night and day better. But one guy I think that you would look at if you were just watching camp, going to camp, observing it, you would say, yeah, I think maybe Shedeur Sanders has been slightly beter.
Is there a chance that Watson's been crushing him in all the other stuff?
Probably.
Well, then
that's the only thing I could think of.
That would be thing that would matter to the coach.
And so yes, that's what I'm saying. So if the guy is going out there, again, you sound like you're attacking me. If he goes out there and he's able to get the play out, you're going to have more confidence in the guy who has the knowledge of the offense. Shedeur may be on his way, but if you're starting from behind, I'm not going to put you from behind. So, like, if you and Owen are in a quarterback competition, and Owen knows the offense, but you're the one who has the arm strength, and I know you can play better eventually, I'm not just going to send you out there in harm's way. It's the same reason why the Raiders got Kirk Cousins when they got Fernando Mendoza. You don't just throw the guy out there if he doesn't know what the hell he's doing, because you're going to make a really bad investment then. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
totally.
You try to take care of whatever investment you have. And Shedeur Sanders may not end up being some sort of investment, but he's certainly an investment to the emotions and the thoughts of the fans. So, and plus he's played pretty decently, so you might give him a chance because I think the other guy's a basket case.
I think what the big mistake I'm seeing, like I heard the afternoon show, and they're just talking like these have all been 10-8 domination rounds every day by Shedeur, and I'm like, nobody within the building thinks that.
No.
Because that message would have gotten out. If Todd Monken is playing the wrong quarterback, these players in the year 2026, whether it's their Twitch feeds, remember we dissected Jerry Jeudy. Like, where
Which
are
one
they?
ended up being a deep fake?
Where is all the messaging? Like, if these guys thought, especially the receivers, if they thought that we're playing the wrong guy, they have their ways to get it out there.
And it doesn't seem,
and they haven't gotten it out there.
As much as everybody doesn't like Deshaun Watson, it doesn't seem that his teammates don't dislike him.
Yeah, and Albert Breer has come on. He said he wanted to be as fair as possible. Yesterday on the afternoon show, he said he talked to people in Buffalo, and he talked, remember, Buffalo, we just saw the game where Shedeur outperformed Watson to a big deal. He talked to people in Buffalo. They're like, no, Watson's better. He talked to people in Chicago. No, Watson's better. He talks to people with the Browns. Watson's better. Zach Jackson, and he hates Deshaun Watson with every fiber of his being. He doesn't want to be fair. And he's like, no, Deshaun Watson's been better. Yet I'm hearing people on the internet dissect a play here, a play there, and they're like, oh my God, Watson is getting obliterated in this contest. It's like, no, you're not there every day.
They're not in the building.
You're not
They're
there every day.
buildings.
You want that to be true, but it's not been the case.
In so many ways, it is a secret society when they decide it to be, and when it's not, that's when things start going to hell. So if like they go out there against Jacksonville and Deshaun Watson throws a bunch of picks and he's leaving Jerry Jeudy open or Casey Concepcion open, and we're watching this going, what the hell is he seeing? Like, yeah, guys are going to start bitching.
Yeah.
They're going to start complaining because they're not winning games. And it's up to Shedeur to get himself ready to do that. He's definitely, like you said this, yeah, he looks like he's getting better. He's definitely gotten better. But if he's not ready to start, he's not ready to conduct the offense, then I'm going to, A, hurt my football team even worse, and B, I'll hurt whatever future he has. So there is a responsibility. As much as the fans hate that, and as much as I even dislike it, there is a responsibility towards it. Coming up at 9 o'clock, the Hall of Famer, Joe Thomas. I want to ask him about that. You know, going into a huddle and being able to get the information that needs to be given to you. Being able to do that. How important is that really when it comes to having a quarterback? Joe Thomas is going to answer that question. And in the words of Lane Staley, which, boy, we had a bit of an argument right then and there, right? Did anybody hear Albert Breer yesterday? Because he mentioned a scenario for the Browns that, in the words of Lane Staley, I am just a man in the box. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on the Fan.
Training camp coverage powered by Genesee Brewing Company. 92.3.
named the starter this weekend. The backup, Shedeur Sanders, not going to play the stadium tomorrow night. Get all the latest Browns content filtered right to your phone during the preseason by following the Browns playlist and 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
All the Browns and NFL news you may have missed at work. The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. 92.3 The Fan.
Two hours from now, Joe Thomas is going to join us on the show. 1 hour from now, we go around the AFC North. Coming up in 45 minutes. Where the hell is it? I can't find what we're going to... Oh, yeah, we're doing about last night.
We're going to do something.
Post-game show is brought to you by... I can't find it. The hell with it. I am disappointed in the result, certainly, but I'm glad that the process was right from my alma mater about the offensive coordinator at the University of Akron. Oddly enough, I've went from a staunch opponent to this to maybe the only guy in this room who likes it now. Oddly enough. We'll find out more coming up at 7:45. 216-474-0092. 722. We also, it's going to be a knockdown drag out in here, not even between Lima and I. Somebody called the Guardians an unserious, somebody in the hallway called the Guardians an unserious franchise if they don't do this. We'll tell you what that is coming up at 722. 216-474-0092. So I'm going to get to this Breer clip coming up here momentarily. I do think that Todd Monken is talking himself into a bit of a box a little bit, speaking of putting people in boxes. And I can only go by what he's telling me, all right? Because there's a lot of things that I think don't match up. And I'm not even talking about what Lane Kiffin threw his way yesterday. There's some things that don't match up. And I'm trying to make sense of something that may be senseless, all right? So it might be at the end, guilty as charged. But I look at Shedeur Sanders in this year the same way I did DeShone Kizer that year where he was a rookie. Now, he was a rookie. He wasn't a second-year guy. If he's not ready to conduct the offense, then he's not going to help my team. Even if I do, and I do believe he's the better quarterback because I just don't think he's in his own head. I mean, we're talking about a guy who can't play at home. We're talking about a guy who goes out in practice and is able to whip the ball around in certain cases, and then he sees a camera, and now all of a sudden he's shot putting the ball. He goes to the stadium and he forgets how to throw it. I mean, I think he's in his own head, and it's not going to help me win games. And he gets cut in June of next year. I don't care anymore. I don't need to save him anymore. He ain't going to be my problem after this year, but he's my problem right now. Albert Breer, though, threw another scenario out here. He was on Afternoon Drive, as he's wanted to do on a Tuesday. And Albert Breer mentioned the possibilities of bringing in another quarterback. Why, you say? Well, Lima's going to tell you why, because he wants to put me in a box.
And should they call the Giants about Jameis Winston tomorrow?
That should have been an idea. Yeah.
I actually kind of like that idea. I'm with you on that. There certainly was an escape hatch that they decided not to take. What they did in trading the Travis Hunter pick was really smart. They knew they needed to get younger across the board, and they needed resources to do it. And to me, like, that was sort of the cost of the Watson trade, is that you cost yourself the chance to inject young talent into the roster, which forced you in a position where you got old really fast. You know, over the course of 23 and 24, now you've got all these young players, and you want to create an environment where those guys can develop. I would argue that, like, if you're not going to have your quarterback of the future, it wouldn't be a bad thing to have a guy who can just kind of keep his hands at 10 and 2 and run the offense and not bring a bunch more attention with him. It's kind of funny thinking of Jameis that way, because Jameis does bring attention to himself too, but Jameis is a really good guy. He played for Todd Monken from 2016 to 2018 in Tampa, and he knows the Cleveland market, having played there. That to me would have been one sensible option, and maybe, like, if this doesn't work out, it's even something they could call the Giants about later.
All right, hit me with it.
Well, so you've been always adamant that you are so anti teams going into a season thinking about a draft pick, losing. You want to establish culture. You want to talk about always attempting to win every game. Mm-hmm. But Jameis Winston is, even right now, is he not way better than Shedeur and Deshaun Watson?
Mm-hmm.
So would you advocate for the team to try to use, I don't know what kind of a pick, what would it even take to get Jameis? I mean, he's the backup. with the Giants. I don't even know if they would deal him because Jackson Dart is propensity to get injured. But let's say they were. Let's say they were willing to do it. Is that the type of player it would make sense to scramble now and make a trade, get him on your roster so that we are not sitting here at 0-6, 1-7, where everybody has apathy and everybody's given up on the season? You have a chance to contaminate your young guys.
Well, he only won 3 games with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been pretty steadfast, and I'm not giving up any more assets. Like, you are who you are. I'm not giving up any more assets to go after quarterbacks until the time is right. And the time ain't going to be right until late April next year.
You're still going to lose games with Jameis Winston.
Okay.
But you're going to run an offense. He's going to deliver throws from the pocket. Yeah. You're going to be able to evaluate offensive linemen. You're going to be able to evaluate your wide receivers because he's going to give them opportunities. With Deshaun and Shedeur, I don't know. Are you going to be able to do that?
Oh, I don't know. With one, I don't believe we will. I think he's broken, but he might he might have a better knowledge of the offense. And again, his teammates don't hate him. Well, they don't hate either of them, but I
don't think they hate Deshaun Watson.
They don't. No, the teammates don't hate Deshaun Watson. The fans are not fans of Deshaun Watson, which is, we have to keep saying that because that's why I think Todd Monken made his decision. He's responsible to the 53. He's not responsible to the 67,000 in the stands. And that's a big key. So do you want me to advocate for Jameis Winston or somebody else? Because I've been Anthony Richardson,
you can advocate for whoever you want. I think we're all starting to see what this season is going to be because, Tom Monken's telling you that Deshaun Watson, the guy that we don't think can play football, is ahead of Shedeur Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of season do you think you're gearing up to?
Not going to have a good one.
So Jameis, we know he's entertaining. We know he's considered a big-time leader. His baggage is in college and a long time ago now.
Understood.
People have gotten past that.
Yes.
They have not gotten past the baggage with Deshaun Watson. So at least he could conduct an offense.
Jameis
like
Winston looked right into the camera and went after the fans over the whole Deshaun Watson thing. And we're like, yeah, he's still fun.
Yeah, fans like him.
Like, we were like, hey, we disagree with you on that, but you're still fun. I just don't want to give up anything more for the same results, I guess.
Okay, but you're saying same results as win-loss. I'm talking about results as in, are players getting the right work in? Are they getting better throughout the course of a year? Or do you think you could just do that with Shedeur?
I don't know if I can. That is, I think anybody who has a better quarterback thrown to them is going to be able to have better results and is going to have a better development. So, I guess I worry a little bit about Denzel Boston and Casey Concepcion, but they are both two. I know one is a second-round guy, 39th, but they're both first-round quality picks in this draft. I can't imagine that 1 year of bad Deshaun Watson play and maybe scattershot Shedeur Sanders play and scattershot Dylan Gabriel, and who knows, we'll probably have some Taylon Green in there. I can't imagine 1 year is going to ruin their careers. So if I'm in this foxhole, and that's where they're at right now because everybody's mad at them, I guess I got to bring my leadership group in. I'm not talking captains. Every team has a leadership group. And I bring them in and I go, you guys are going to have to get in here and you guys are going to have to keep these guys together the entire year, one way or another. We're going to get down to 53, and you're going to have some new names coming in because we're going to be very thin in some spots. So for Carson Swessinger and all the names that I always bring up, I can go ahead and circle Denzel Ward. Like, I hate to do it to you again, Denzel. I know you've been through it, man. I know you've been through it, and I need you to do it one more time. I need you to bring these guys together one more time. And it ain't going to be fun, and we're going to be on the wrong side of this a lot. But damn it, I need somebody to keep it together because the coaches can't play for them, and the coaches can say everything they want, but they're not one of the players. And only the players can do that. Because I don't advocate for giving up any other picks that could help us in other positions for quarterbacks that are just going to get us the same results. Is that a bad answer for you? Go ahead and rip me if you think that that's a bad answer.
It's all in an effort to try to surmise from you what you think this year is all about. And
I told you what this year was about when they traded Miles.
Which was?
Getting to 2027. If you thought any of these guys were great, you're not trading away the greatest defensive player that you've ever had.
because you think you're going to go to the playoffs.
I just know old Ken would have talked culture and hanging in there and all that stuff, and it's like, is that stuff really?
Old Ken
do we
didn't
really
have to
care
talk.
as much?
Old Ken didn't have to talk to all our listeners the day after, or 2 days after Deshaun Watson went after him, a guy they already didn't really like in the first place. Old Ken's seen, or young Ken didn't see all the things that old Ken has seen now, and it ain't the way I'd approach it. But now it's the mess that I'm left to deal with as a fan. Not trying to make a martyr here. We're all fans together. We're all in this together, guys. I'm not just, whoa, no, we're all doing it. I wouldn't have traded for Watson in the first place. I've been steadfast on that. I'd have tried to work it out with Baker. I would have brought in a veteran to compete with him. All right, what's done is done. So young Ken wouldn't have made the move back in 2022, let alone have to deal with it in 2026. But I did make the decision. So all I can do is clean it up. What's the best way to clean it up? Not giving up more picks for quarterbacks I don't believe in. I'm ready to roll up the sleeves, guys. I'm not ready to yet, but I'm getting myself ready to roll up the sleeves and argue about Darian Mensah and CJ Carr. So I don't have a lot of anger and vitriol. I told you guys this before. There's going to be some days I come in here on a Monday, I'm going to be really, really pissed off. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't have the same type of anger and frustration I've had in years past.
Let's say that Deshaun, 2 games in, benched, they go to Shedeur, he's not able to right the ship at all. They are 1-6, 0-7, whatever.
I ain't trading for no extra quarterbacks. Nope.
Okay, so you're just prepared for lost season, and
if
the fans will be apoplectic.
It's not just the quarterbacks,
and they're not going to like anybody on the offense.
I've said this to you.
And you're going to think less of Boston. You're going to think less of Casey Concepcion at that point.
Because you know why?
And then you're going to be wondering, what are we going to do with the offensive line?
Anthony, I used to be able to name Browns players in this secondary 3 deep right off the top of my head. I got to pull out a depth chart every time now. It's not just the quarterback. People got upset last week when I said a quarterback away from what? You're a quarterback away from getting on the right track. You're a quarterback in 2 drafts away from really competing because you need to take care of that guy. And I'm not just talking about offensive line. I am 3 players away from having nothing in the secondary. Nothing in the secondary. Okay, I got Grant Delpit, I got Denzel Ward, I got Tyson Campbell. And if any one of those 3 go down, guess what's happening? I'm bleeped. I got Carson Schlesinger and Quincy Williams. If any one of those guys go down, I like what Winston Reed showed me, but we all know the real answer. Alex Wright went down. They were already in the market for edge rushers. Guess what? We're bleeped. We have 4 free agent offensive linemen and 1 guy we're really, really, really excited about. Now, we can try to be the Bears and use the Bears and make ourselves feel better, except we don't have Caleb Williams as quarterback. So guess what? We may very well be bleeped. We have 1 tight end that we can count on. We have another tight end that we'll probably never see an NFL football field that we just drafted that nobody can give us an answer to, and I can't even dare to speculate. And we have Carson Ryan. Guess what? We're not in a good spot. So I'm not going to go unless Joe Burrow ends up on the market or Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen ends up on the market. No, man. No, I'll see you in 2027 because there's so many more reasons that have to do with not quarterback of why this season nobody's going to be able to fix this thing. All right? Joe Flacco, you go back to 2023, there were injuries, but there was talent there. All right? This isn't it. They're in a rebuild right now. They're in a reload, whatever you want to call it. Super Bowl window 2, whatever it is. Sorry, Mary Kay, I love you. I'm not making that move. 216-474-0092. All right, I'm going to get to some of you guys. And the Guardians have won 6 in a row. Outstanding. They're right back in the thick of it in the American League. Even better. Somebody walked down the hallway and told Tone and I they're still unserious if they don't do this. We'll tell you what that is in 5 on the Fan. Northeast Factory.
YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
John busted through the door like Kramer. So we got to take these calls. We got to take Dave. Okay. All right, John. You were the one who wanted to make the argument, but okay. So give me 7 minutes, and then we're going to bring up who John said if they don't call this guy up, they're an unserious franchise. A team that's won 6 in a row and has been to the postseason and is back-to-back defending AL Central champs. But we'll see what he says. I don't know if I'm going to fight him on it. Well, we'll find out. 216-474-0092. So Tom Monken's made his decision. We've gone over it. Like, you asked me about Jameis Winston, and I just said, like, I broke out the depth chart. And, again, when people say, well, we're a quarterback away, you're a quarterback away from getting back on track to having a future, to people being sunny about you. Like, the Raiders were bun. They were bad. Everything inside was terrible. Like, people were making, like, Tom Brady got there. People still made fun of him. And then by the way, you see he's wearing leather pants now? There's a very divorced individual there. That's interesting.
Love it.
So, Tom Brady was there. People still make fun of him. They got Fernando Mendoza, likable guy, number 1 overall pick. It's like, all right, we've centered it here. It probably still will not be a great season because we still need more. But we're able to do this, that, and the other, and we might have a bright future here. And that's where the Browns are, because you can go out and get anybody who's available, and I just don't think it's going to make a tremendous difference. So when Albert Breer's saying Jameis Winston, yeah, it would make the season more palatable, but it wouldn't make the season better. You might get one more win. And in the grand scheme of things, if I'm sitting here right now in August, what's the difference between 3 and 4 wins? It could mean deep playoff runs in our future. That could be the difference. I'm not advocating for losing, but damn, like, am I going to be that mad if they lose? Because I can see the logic behind the losing this year. Because this is not a deep football team. 216-474-0092. I hate talking like that, man, but I can only tell the truth. Dave in a car, you're first up on the Fan.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hi, Dave.
First off, I like the old Ken. Wisdom is everything, right?
Oh.
You've been there, you've seen it, so I like that.
Thank you, Dave.
First thing, number 1, Todd Monken, 100% a one-and-done coach. My only hope is, speaking of boxes, that he didn't unpack his at his house. And I've always been curious, does a Cleveland Browns coach rent or buy in this market? Because they're not going to be sticking around here long. And if I can give any advice to the Haslams, what I would do is I'd take some of my money, I'd buy myself a nice house in Strongsville or Bay or wherever you want it, and you make that the coach's home because you know they're not sticking around long.
Well, that's a good thought. Now, I would say I think every coach we've had here is bought. Head coach.
How do you sell that thing?
Well, it becomes an investment because if you buy low and you sell a little bit higher, at least you made some money on your time while you were in Cleveland.
That's the only thing you got going for you as a Cleveland Browns coach is you buy low and you sell high when you get the hell out of here.
Oh, boy.
So,
well, Dave.
Well, listen, I hope you guys have a great week. And I love listening to the show, especially the last couple days, man. Like, I can't shut the radio off.
Oh, thank you, Dave.
Very nice.
Go look at those listings.
Oh, my God.
We're talking MLS numbers now?
I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Daniel in Columbus. Hello, Daniel.
Tell your mother hi.
Hey, Ken, what's going on?
Hi. Go ahead, Daniel.
Hey, I think you just said it. I mean, what's the one thing we know Shadur can do is throw the deep ball. We have young receivers now, and early in the year, the defense is healthy. We have those defensive bats, at least on the front line. That defense is good enough to win you a couple games if you go up 14-0. So I think we're waiting. Shadur will play. We'll have no depth on the defense, and it's the perfect tank scenario. I know, hey, talking about tanking, but this year, you have to get the quarterback in the top 3. We can't miss again. Because they're in a position they can't even take Jeremiah Smith if they get the 4th pick, because who are you going to bring him to throw the ball? Like, they can't go spend and get the Kirk Cousins level quarterback, from yesteryear.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have no money. So they have to get a top 3 guy. And I think Andrew Berry's tired of landing a Mason Graham or whoever, or Spencer Sato, we have to get a top 3 pick. That's the only thing that's going to get us out of this. You can't miss and end up with the 4th pick again. So I think that's why Deshaun is the starting quarterback this year.
Yeah, I mean, because I think he's broken. And I've said that earlier today in the show, Daniel. Thank you for the call. Like, he may know where guys need to go, but when there's live action coming after him, man, it's just not there. And that guy, whoever he was 6 years ago, that looked dominant in NFL football games, that's gone. And he's never coming back. If you can't do that, I don't care. Well, you're throwing to third-teamers, too. Yeah, the whole point of being called a franchise quarterback is that you elevate the play of those around you, and you don't do silly things out there. So he may know where guys need to line up and know where guys need to go. I have absolutely no faith he's going to be able to put it on them. So I start out with a completely empty bucket in Jacksonville, and it's up to him to fill it up, and I have no doubt that he's not going to be able to.
I'm telling you, I think there is going to be a completely different offense that we haven't seen a ton of leading up to this point. And what I mean by that is, notice yesterday that they threw in the RPOs a bunch in practice, and people said he looked good, by the way. People said Deshaun looked good. I know there was the one pass play where the receiver broke off his route, ran like a curl, and everybody was making fun of Watson, and I'm like, yeah, that's what it looks like when the wide receiver and the quarterback aren't on the same page. And, that's the time to get that stuff worked out in practice. Now we'll see if that can actually, they can unify for the actual games. But I think there is going to be because they're not worried about protecting Deshaun Watson anymore, which I think at times Stefanski was in that offense. They didn't want him just running for his life, which was a big part of his success in Houston early on. And I don't know what his wheels look like compared to way back then, but Todd is going to use him as a dual-threat quarterback.
That probably makes sense because he could look at it. I think he's done after this year. I don't know who picks him up after this year. I think that this could very well be his career this season. And if he lasts for 2 games and he never plays again, I think that that's it. And I think that there may have been a conversation between them about just letting it all hang out. And using you whatever way we can, because before it was this huge investment. You had to protect it. Now the money's spent. The only thing that you have left to pay would be a tremendous penalty, which you don't even pay, you just can't use when it comes to the cap going into next year if you were to cut the guy now. It's the only thing that's keeping him on the team, certainly after Saturday's outburst. That was ridiculous. Which, by the way, plenty of people pointed out to me that I called it an apology yesterday. They go, he didn't apologize, Ken. He never actually said he was sorry. I'm like, well, you actually make a good point there. He actually tried to explain it.
Does somebody actually have to use the term
I
apology?
Apologize.
Like with your wife, if you don't say the word apology.
I got to say
I do too.
Apology or I'm sorry for it to be an official apology.
I have to say more than one. It has to be over the course of a month every single day.
I'm very good. You've made me a lot better at going, we moved on from that. You can't throw that in my face anymore. That's it. And she'll go, you're right. Very by the book.
So we revert right back to that moment in time constantly.
It's healthy.
I want to know how we move on.
Rain and Lorraine, you're next up on the fan. Now I got to get to this other argument that John wanted to have. Go ahead, Rain.
All right, good morning, fellas.
Hi.
My thoughts are the Browns have pretty much done this to themselves in terms of, like, the Shador, like, thing, because the Browns, on one hand, you want to use his popularity to, like, boost interest in the team, but at the same time, you get mad when people are up in arms about you shoehorning this dud that cannot play anymore onto the starting lineup. Because you got to think about it. Look at it. Pull up the team shop. Whose jersey is front and center? Shador's. The promo video for the team starting this season. Who's up there? It's not Deshaun Watson. It's Shador. You cannot even find a Deshaun Watson jersey unless you dig through a bunch of pages on the team's site. Not saying that the play does not matter, because maybe Deshaun Watson's a little bit better because just of the experience. But if the Browns would have just been open and honest about how they plan to use Shador in terms of maybe his draft status and all that stuff, and like all these grown men in that organization, they are afraid to take a firm stance and stand on it. They've created this whole thing. And mind you, I'm a 35-year Browns fan.
Well, Rain, did you think
play.
so? You think they just picked him up because of his social media status, his celebrity?
Yeah, because you got to think about it. Last year they had Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and then they picked Dylan Gabriel.
Well, Rain, I don't disagree. It's just you're never ever going to get anybody to admit something like that. Like I thought in the 5th round, I think that they thought that this season wasn't going to be very good. He's a very popular person. Let's just see whether or not we have something in him. And he wasn't horrific last year. He didn't set the world on fire. He wasn't horrific, and he does make them more popular, more exciting. I don't deny any of that. I mean, hell, we go back to the Johnny Manziel thing because of that. Now, he's not anywhere near as goofy as Johnny Manziel was, but yeah, I don't doubt that any professional franchise has ever done something like that. And you could say it's wrong, and I bet I'd agree with you. But Rain, because I got to get to this Ralphie thing, and thank you very much for the call. I bet I'd agree with you, but you're never going to get them to admit, because they're going to say they gave him a regular chance to be the starting quarterback. I think after what you heard from Todd Monken there in the Todd Monken show, there's going to be a lot of people who are fans of Shedeur Sanders who are going to be upset about that. I tried to explain it, but it's very hard to explain.
I'd love to have a frank conversation, and we're moving on, about the economy of Shedeur, because we know nationally what he does numbers-wise. We know in Colorado when they were going, it was 66% surge. I heard the Yahoo guys talking about it the other day, and it retreated the minute that Shedeur left and Travis Hunter. And obviously you didn't have a Heisman Trophy winner either, but Shedeur was very popular.
Yeah, and maybe
they both were.
We might be in the Cleveland bubble, so I think Travis Hunter is popular. I just don't know how popular he is compared to Shedeur.
Shedeur was something different, but yet, what was it like for the preseason game at kickoff to see him start against Buffalo? What was it? It still was not people are coming from all over. The way they did to go to Boulder to see him. It's still not happening.
If it works, he's still a guy that, not even if it works, he's still a guy you could put on social media clips.
Yeah.
He's still a guy that
you
could put on the Browns, Ravens today, and it's Shedeur Sanders up there. I mean, you think about this. I mean,
but are they buying tickets for Shedeur yet? We have not seen evidence of that.
Not particularly. Coming up at 8, we go around the AFC North.
They didn't even sell out the camp practices like they used to.
So we were told Guardians have won 6 in a row. If you want to bring up Ralphie Velasquez, bring up Ralphie Velasquez. Like John is willing to say that they are unserious now if they don't bring up Ralphie Velasquez. And before, like when the great Tom Hamilton was saying in an interview, I think where city was it in? I think he might have been on the ticket. And he was saying, like, hey, it's going to be really difficult because they're not very good right now. Things have been struggling. You're under 500. Like, there were a bunch of notable reasons why you wouldn't bring up Ralphie Velasquez, but you've won 6 in a row. I don't want to call him unserious, but if you're playing that well and you've done this well with rookies, what's the problem with bringing up another rookie? If you're going to be in the hunt for things, why wouldn't you bring a guy up? Unserious, I think every team has a level of unseriousness, but I think every team tries to be serious, with the exception of the team that the Guardians played last night. I think that every team tries to have some level of seriousness there, so I don't know what the definition of that is, but I think bringing up Ralphie Velasquez, I would have no problem with something like that. I just thought last night was the best win that they've had all year. Considering you scored that many runs, you didn't have any home runs in that, and you came back from a 5-0 deficit, and Gavin Williams had like his first rough outing in what seems like a decade, and you were still able to come back from that. But if you wanted to bring up Ralphie Velasquez, do you think they're unserious if they don't bring up Ralphie Velasquez in September?
Well, it's just crazy to see the tear that he has been on, and everybody's noticing it around the country, and people in baseball are like, there's no way the Guardians are bringing him up. And because of the contractual stuff that happens, especially if there's a lockout, that he can't even go back and play minor league baseball next year to hone his skills. And so you'd be losing development.
That's what's difficult, is that you do have a reasonable excuse going, hey, like we've brought up other guys before. They hit for a minute, and then they need more time. They need more seasoning in the minors. We don't know if we're going to be able to give them more seasoning in the minors, because if we put him on the 40-man roster, then he can't play next year while we're in a lockout. If he's not, he can play next year while we're in a lockout. So then you have to ask, how serious, and I know the unserious thing is, how seriously are they taken in the postseason if they get to the postseason? Because right now they think of it like a 56% or 50%. That's a pretty good odd going into the final month of the year.
I just think you need to have the playoffs are a gift. Being in the playoffs are a gift, and I understand that it's easier to get into the playoffs now, but it's not like you're tanking or trying to get better draft position. It's baseball. The draft is a crapshoot. We've gone over this before.
John?
Yeah?
State more of your case coming up in about last night in 5 minutes. Can you do that? Not fighting you. I'm not fighting you. I just want to hear you out. All right, bud?
Yeah,
John's going to give us the fight on Rafi Velasquez. And I am disappointed in the result, but I am very happy with the process for my alma mater and their new offensive coordinator. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, about last night in 5 minutes on the Fan. Northeast Ohio Fence and Deck. Right there in Maple Heights since 1981.
customers without one. Visit OhioTurnpike.org for more details. Brought to you by the Ohio Turnpike, a better way to travel.
We've got an accident for you this morning. I-40 westbound to State Route 176 northbound. The left lane is blocked because of a crash. Jeff Thomas, Odyssey Cleveland Traffic.
Sign up to be a part of the fan club. Download the free Odyssey app and follow 92.3 The Fan to get all of the best audio and best stories sent straight to your inbox. 92.3thefan.com.
So much can happen around the globe that we never hear of.
I really don't give a shit. I mean, it had nothing to do with me. I mean, they moved the meeting. I didn't miss it. I was just trying to get a sweet haircut.
How it is when you win in Cleveland, man. They love you. When you lose, it's the way it should be.
He's a piece of crap. The kid, he sucks. He's sucked his whole career.
I got rumors about him, how he couldn't please his wife, so now he's divorced.
That sounds really good, but I'm not 6'5", and I don't have the athletic ability to play in the NBA.
Now, the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima give their thoughts on what you might have missed about last night.
The Guardians were down 5-0 after the first 2 innings and roared back to win 8-6 in extra innings and win their 6th straight ball game. Gavin Williams had a rough night, lasting only an inning and a third, but the offense picked him up. Stephen Kwan was 5 for 5. Jose Ramirez had 3 doubles and 5 RBI. And the go-ahead base hit as well in that 10th inning. Patrick Bailey also walked 4 times. And Angel Martinez robbed Mike Trout of what would have been a go-ahead game-winning home run. They are above 500 for the first time since August 2nd when they were 57 and 56. Great win. Arguably the win of the year. Would have made it better if they had Ralphie Velasquez.
What a nails catch in the 8th inning. Trout's up. You got a man on. And this game that you're scratching and clawing to try to get back in. If that one does indeed, does that definitely go over? It was right up there against it. Holy cow. Now you're losing a game. You go from there to coming through. And not only was Quan 5 for 5, you talked about Bailey continuing to get on base and having a good eye, but holy cow, Jose Ramirez. You know, at the beginning of the game, there were some of the Guardians faithful going, oh, we're really going to have to pay Jose Ramirez for this many more years, and he's going to play at this level, to then coming through the way he did.
I don't think he's going to play at this level. It's just been a rough year for the guy.
He'll bounce back.
It's been a rough year. It's been some injuries. I'll get the Rafi Velasquez thing in 20 seconds. Is Joe Thomas Major League or is Joe Thomas and the NFL's equivalent of Mike Trout in baseball? Is Mike Trout baseball's Joe Thomas?
No, I was gonna say it was Myles Garrett until he got moved.
Yeah, I made that comparison a couple of months ago.
Well, he got moved, so I guess Myles Garrett would be Shohei Ohtani.
There you go.
All right,
Ralphie Velasquez. Come up.
So I don't want to rip you on it. I'm not talking down to you at all. I think it's a hell of an argument there, and we got to figure out what they think, how serious they are, because how serious they could be in the postseason. Because if you bring him up, then he's on the 40-man roster, and then if there's a lockout, like, he can't get any quality down in the minors.
My thing is being in the playoffs is a gift, and I said this in the last segment.
Yes, you did.
I watched the Phillies make the playoffs in 2011 when I was in 4th grade. They did not make the playoffs again until I was a junior in college. Being in the playoffs is a gift, and I think Guardians fans can look past that, considering the fact that they haven't won a World Series since 1948. It's very difficult, but also, where are your loyalties? Do you really have all this loyalty to Nathaniel Lowe? Why can't Ralphie Velasquez go play first base? He's played 74 games over at first base. Do you have this loyalty to David Fry, who's just taking up space on the roster right now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Ralphie Velasquez makes the team overall better. If you don't want to start him, fine, but he makes the roster better. And
wait, you can really say that about a guy that hasn't been up here?
Yes. When you're hitting like that, they sent David Fry down to the minors. He wasn't hitting like this. Ralphie Velasquez is on a tear.
When David Fry went down to the minors, he hit like 6 home runs and like 18 at bats or something like that. It was something ridiculous.
Yeah, well, Ralphie Velasquez has hit.
He just shakes his head. No, he didn't.
Ralphie Velasquez has hit 16 home runs in 20 games.
I know, he's been great.
Like, this kid's confidence is at an all-time high. You promote him for the last month of the season. If he again, David Fry, what is his value to you right now? Do you care about David Fry's development?
Well, we don't have very many veterans whatsoever. There's no development in David Fry. There's a veteran there, and they don't have very many of them, so they hold on to him like grin death. You cannot underestimate that. I mean, the whole reason Austin Hedges ever came back was because he was a veteran, and now he's actually got his swing back to a large degree. We got to think of the downside of Rafi Velasquez before we think of the upside. What's the downside? All right, you don't win the World Series. All right, then you go to a lockout.
will not playing in the minor leagues affect Rafi Velasquez that much? That's an answer that they have to give. I don't know that well. They have to understand what's going to make him tick and what's not.
And we just don't know what's going to happen with those major leaguers. Like, I wasn't alive in 94 or 81 for that strike. So
That's
I don't
true.
know what they did back then.
Yes.
But I think they're going to have live at-bats somewhere at some point.
I would assume as well. Can they play? Can he play in a different country?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If he can't play
Can
in the
he go
minors,
to Japan
can
for
he
a
go
half
somewhere else?
They let minor leaguers play indie ball in 2020, so I don't think they're going to let major leaguers do that.
Yeah, but
you
they
have to
shut
see.
down the minors.
Yes, you're absolutely correct.
I do think there's other ways that you can get some quality at bats and some line by even during a lockout. And you bring him up, you give him a taste of what it is. Will it mess him up that much? I don't have the answer. I'd assume no. That it wouldn't mess him up that much. So I don't want to make an argument against calling him up when we're doing well and he plays a position that you always need and he's hitting for power. So I don't want to fight you on calling him up. I just have to think about the long-term ramifications if we have a long lockout. Like, I don't know if we're going to be playing baseball in June next year. Oh, is that going to be something that affects him that much? We don't know. We have to get an answer from them about it.
I'm very interested to see what they do with that lockout, if the baseball players will actually be practicing. But anyway, Akron has officially named its OC of the game. It's a longtime season ticket holder, Marty Williams, who's actually, like Ken, an Akron alum. He would be allowed to call plays in the opening series with Joe Moorhead on September 12th versus Robert Morris. A couple thoughts here. Should have rigged it. Would have loved to see Big Cat do it, or the guy Bordeaux, who you guys don't really know, but he's actually a big fixture in the college football community. Well, really, the college football video game community. This should become a yearly thing for Akron. They should do it every single year if it goes well.
It loses its luster.
I did wonder what other teams and maybe even in other sports were going to do to try to. They saw how much positivity this got outside of Ken's first day talking about it. Basically, everybody universally was in love with it that I heard. Even like serious football podcasters were loving it. Again, Ken was the only grump when it came to this. Joe Moorhead was a grump at first, and then he admitted, all right, we got to have some fun with this.
Well, if I didn't go to Akron, I didn't love Akron, I didn't take him seriously whatsoever, and I wasn't embarrassed by it, I would.
What do you think the season ticket holder thought? He was an alum.
Yeah, he wanted his opportunity to do it. I'm glad that they did it. I'm glad. Wasn't on board until I talked to Joe Moorhead. Joe Moorhead made sense, and we talked to him on the air about it.
Yeah, I wonder what other opportunities are going to arise, because you're right. There's no way this is never happening again. And I could see first play of the game being something that gets auctioned off, and that's actually kind of, honestly, more exciting than this, because I'm telling you, I don't think it's going to look. I think there'll be one trick play. But it's going to look like a normal drive in a MAC football game. Like, I don't think it's going to look, but a first play, you get a chance. So I just think the possibilities now that this is possible and they didn't get crushed for it, I wonder what else we're going to see.
If Joe Moorhead wasn't in possibly his last year as a head coach in college football, if Joe Moorhead had a actual offensive coordinator or a different offensive coordinator other than himself, this would have been a no-go. So you can't do this again. Those are the only three reasons why I would jump on with it.
So you don't think we'll ever see a cash-strapped Big Ten team like, say, Iowa?
I don't think
Iowa's cash-strapped.
I know.
Compared to Oregon and Ohio State?
NIL. Maybe you get a good receiver.
Well, wait a minute. You're talking about. Akron's a far fall from Iowa, for crying out loud. Like, I don't.
Yeah,
think
but Akron is closer to the top of the MAC than Iowa is in spending to Ohio State. It's not even close. Like, they're not even in the same stratosphere. Like, can you imagine Northwestern?
I would steal your cat to have an 8-4 season in any
That's
conference.
Not what I'm talking about.
Iowa has 8-4 every year.
I'm talking about generating worldwide buzz like this did. Like, I do think you saw it here. It's now accepted. I think you're going to see it elsewhere.
It was a serious program. Like, Akron, I love Akron, but I can't sit there and defend it.
A serious program that wants to bring in more money. Absolutely.
How much more money are you going to get just for one guy to call one series of plays?
I think to scale what you saw in Akron, you can say exponentially more if now you're throwing it out there to all the
you
football.
think George Kittle's going to bid on Iowa? I think George Kittle would probably bid on that.
I think he'd throw like $3 million.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I think this would be a huge fundraising opportunity.
I think a guy like George Kittle would want Iowa football to be taken seriously, and he would spend the $3 million on players for them to be taken seriously. I think this is one of the dumbest things you've ever said.
I understand this coming from the one guy who thought this was a bad idea.
Yeah, I know, because I liked it. And by the way, Joe Moorhead thought it was stupid too. Joe Moorhead thought it was stupid too when it first was brought to his table.
This will happen at one of those schools in the Big Ten.
And I'll call it stupid then because it's stupid.
And then the coach will talk to him and he'll do a flip-flop in record time.
I didn't do a flip-flop. The guy said it himself. He thought it was a no-go, and he said it was stupid himself.
Owen, was it a flip-flop?
That's a Ken Carman classic.
Right, whatever. I can't help it. You just said one of the dumbest things ever.
I just steamrolled Ken Carman.
A serious football program.
Ken, who's the guy that calls up?
A serious football program that has been ranked number 1 in its past before. Yeah, we're gonna auction off plays. Listen to yourself.
That's it for about last night.
I know I'll be right. Be doing a big Champions Post
and
on
I
this
will
one.
call them stupid when that happens. Real football programs doing this? Come on. Coming up next, we go around the AFC North. Ken Wyman, 105.7 The Fan in Baltimore. Tony Pike, ESPN 1530 in Cincinnati. Chris Muller, 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh. Big conversation with Jamar Chase. Nearly went down yesterday. And 4 quarterbacks in Pittsburgh, it seems. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. Take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app.
see it coming. I didn't see boos happening. Something's gotten distorted with his brain where he genuinely thinks people around Cleveland like him. He genuinely thinks that everyone's just forgotten and we've just wiped away 4 years of bad football and all the off-field allegations and everything else.
I mean, it does make sense that the Browns and Deshaun have been a flawless marriage off the field because neither of them have any modicum of self-awareness.
The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Not even 10 minutes. It has been 10 minutes you've gotten in a fight with 3 different people. Our mics are all on. Right, he is a 4.5er. Next Thursday, we have the Fan 15. Check your contract. Check it.
Hey, probably won't be another one then.
Remember, all the guests appear, otherwise aren't right. We make it right. Call Kyle Right hotline. There's been a lot of contract talk down in Cincinnati. We will talk about that with Tony Pike coming up here momentarily. But let's check in Baltimore. Ken Wyman, 105.7 The Fan in Baltimore, where they take on Washington in the final preseason game on Friday. However, joint practice today. Ones on ones. Ken, what are you looking for?
Looking to see Lamar Jackson in the starters because it's the last time we're going to get a chance to see him. Let's face it. And the Ravens, even under John Harbaugh, they stopped playing the starters probably after J.K. Dobbins got hurt in a preseason game, which is 5 years ago at this point. So Jesse Minter continues this. Like Roger Rosengard, the right tackle will play a little bit, but most of the starters will not play on Friday. So this is our last opportunity to see an opportunity to see what these guys look like against another football team.
All right. In the box or on the sideline, Declan Doyle, defensive coordinator, go.
Well, it's offensive coordinator, but he said he's going to be in the box.
Offensive coordinator, I apologize, damn it.
No, it's all good. It's all good. He said that he was going to try both, but he felt it went so smoothly in the first preseason game against Philly, so he did it again against Minnesota, and then he was asked yesterday and said he's going to be in the booth. He feels like it's a much crisper operation, and that's where he's going to be. It is interesting, though, because it is preseason. You're trying things out. He didn't even try the sidelines. He liked the booth so much, that's where he's going to be.
Overall, what would you say is the vibe of this team? They're getting ready for the joint practice with the Commanders, right?
Yes.
What is the expectation of something like this? Because we were bracing ourselves for what could be a rough and rowdy type situation with the Bills last week, and it was fine. They got their work in. They were able to pull it off. What is the expectation over there?
So they just had a joint practice with the Vikings, and it went pretty smoothly. There was not much chippiness. I know the guy who was the assumed starting center, Danny Pinter, went down for the year. But I will say this. They had a joint practice with the Commanders, I guess 4 years ago, and Mark Andrews almost got in a fight with everybody. It was crazy. I think 2023. I don't know how many guys are still left on that roster because Andrews is still here. But I expect it to go pretty smoothly because it's just I think the coaches now are in these guys' heads about the fights are stupid and somebody can get hurt. But I know part of us kind of want to see something chippy happen, but I don't expect much of that to go on today.
Did Todd Monken make the right decision?
Does he have a right decision? It's you guys tell me if Shedeur looked any good in preseason. I feel like Deshaun Watson is completely delusional. It's after that press conference after the game, and I'm sure you guys have said all of this, but I don't know how that guy can play another down for that football team after that presser. But here we are. He's been the anchor that has weighed down that franchise now for years, and it's the gift that keeps on giving for your fan base. I feel kind of sorry.
If you cut him now, it's an $87 million cap hit next year. Oh, well, 86 and change, 86.2.
Do what Houston did. You do what Houston did. Just tell him to stay home.
Doesn't he have to be agreeable to such a thing? Because if he doesn't agree to, he wasn't playing for his career. I think he's playing for his careir this year, right? There's a right to work deal in there.
I hear. Is there really a career to play for at this point? He's got his money. As soon as his contract's done.
He thinks so. I don't,
yeah,
but
well,
he does.
That's the fun part. Is he lives on an alternate planet. It's over once this contract's done, and the fact that they've adjusted this thing to kick the can down the road, I guess because they thought there could be some sort of extension, is delusional on the Browns' part too. But okay, then have him come in the building, but you're not playing, you're not dressing.
Ken Wyman, 105.7 The Fan in Baltimore as the Ravens get set to take on the Washington Commanders on Friday in their final preseason game. Let's go to Cincinnati. ESPN 1530's Tony Pike, former quarterback, joins us right now as they get set to go to Philadelphia on Friday. Tony, Jamar Chase, how nervous was everybody yesterday when he says he lightly hyperextended his knee?
It was a tense moment at training camp for sure. In real speed, it looked bad, and seeing him go down immediately, he's a guy that doesn't go down. He is extremely tough. He likes getting his practice reps in, so he stayed down for about a minute, and there was an uneasy feeling around a very good training camp for the Cincinnati Bengals. Once he got up, he walked it off under his own power. They didn't take him in to do any imaging. He was standing around his teammates, so after the initial scare, you felt things were trending in the right direction, and obviously after practice he said that if it were a game, he would have been back in there. So, yes, definitely dodged a bullet here in Cincinnati.
I mean, is it to the point where then the Bengals fans are like, all right, camp's over, no more, don't want to see anything, let's just wake up when the season starts?
Yes, that's been the biggest question. It's been a unique camp. There's not been one starting job up for grabs. It's been all depth at training camp. The starters played briefly in preseason game number 1, and that's it. The conversation has been, can you get to week 1 against Tampa healthy? And if so, I think there's a lot of confidence with this team.
Did you take Joe Burrow's comments last week about winning the Super Bowl as a shot across the bow at the organization the way so many did across the country?
No, because I view the organization that they've done what he's asked. They've done what they needed to do. They signed T and Jamar. They were extremely active in the offseason in free agency and with the trade for Dexter Lawrence. I think all 7 of their draft picks are going to make this roster. I took it as a quarterback who values winning, and from day one, Joe Burrow said that's what he wants to do. He wants to win Super Bowls in Cincinnati. The alternative of that would be Joe Burrow sitting at a podium and saying, no, well, we don't really need to win it this year. We'll win it in another year or two. I mean, that's the ultimate competitor in him. It's time. This organization has put the pieces into the center of the table, and it's time now to go out and perform. And I think he carries a little bit of that pressure. I think he carries the understanding of what is now being asked of him because he's been given everything else, and now he's got to go perform and ideally stay healthy for 17 games.
Overall, this roster going into this season, where do you rank them of all the Joe Burrow rosters?
I think it's the best team that Joe Burrow has been a part of. The defense is light years ahead of where they were last year. For the first time in his career, there's the continuity on the offensive line. If you look at how the O-line played down the stretch last year, they were good. They were much better than they were at the start of the year, and they bring all 5 of those starters back. They have depth at tight end. They have a deep wide receiver room. The running back room with Chase Brown is poised for a breakout season. And like I said, their defense is in a much better place than they were last year. I think it's the best roster Joe Burrow's had going into a season.
Did Todd Monken make the right decision?
Man, it's tough. Anytime you put yourself at odds with the fan base early on, I think that puts you in a difficult situation. I go on the play on the field, and in the last opportunity, I saw Shador play much better than Deshaun Watson. I think he gives that team a little bit more, and at the same time, I think the city understands that this isn't a Deshaun Watson negativity because of anything else except how bad he's been on the field. I don't think you can sell going into a 17-game season with Deshaun Watson as your quarterback. It's tough. And I think there's probably other factors at play, but I think Shador would have been my guy.
He is the host of Cincy 360 in Cincinnati, ESPN 1530's Tony Pike down in Cincinnati as they get ready to go to Philadelphia on Friday for their final preseason game of the year. We go to Pittsburgh, 93.7 The Fans, Chris Muller, as they get set to go to Buffalo tomorrow night to take on the Bills. Chris, 4 quarterbacks, huh?
Oh, God, I hope not, Ken. I really
Well, they like
really
them all,
hope
so
not.
what are we supposed to do?
Yeah, I know. Mike McCarthy would make the entire plane out of quarterbacks if he could. He'd keep 6 of them, despite the fact that the guy at various times in his career has only kept 2 quarterbacks. Like, You know the phrase, thou dost protest too much, Ken? I'm sure you do. You're a very learned man. I'm starting to wonder if we're not getting a little bit of that with McCarthy and this quarterback nonsense. Like, it really feels like he's trying to sell everybody on the idea that there's no such thing in the world as too many quarterbacks, when in reality, I feel like if Will Howard, who was not good in the second preseason game, turns up another stinker, that they might just go with 3. Because here's the things that are, like, in opposition here. They continue to say stuff like, well, we're trying to win this year. It's the usual Steelers mantra, right? Like, we're never kicking it in for 1 year. And yet they pretty much more or less acknowledge that, like, Rodgers is their guy. They've praised Rudolph. How exactly does keeping Will Howard specifically, since you're not cutting Drew Aller loose, he's a third-round pick this year, how does that help you win this year more than having, like, an extra safety, an extra defensive lineman, like, whatever? No one has explained adequately on the team end how getting a guy on the roster that you have no intention of him seeing the field ever this year helps you win this year. Like, that's where the circle does not square for me.
What is going on with Joey Porter Jr., and why am I reading people out of Pittsburgh talking about potential trades?
Because I would say he wants to be paid like he is the best cornerback in the National Football League, the way that quarterbacks used to get, like, the biggest deal for 5 minutes just so they could say that they did and their agents could say that they did. Even if the guy was, like, pre-Super Bowl Matt Stafford, he would still get that deal. And the problem for Joey Porter Jr. is he is a very good cornerback, but he is in no way, shape, or form the best cornerback in the NFL, and the cornerback market doesn't really work like the quarterback one does, where everyone gets to have their biggest contract thing. He also is repped by the same dude that reps Christian Gonzalez, the same agency. So even if he got what he wanted, it would last for 5 minutes. Then the next day, Christian Gonzalez would get like $100,000 more per year guaranteed, and they would keep doing this stupid little game. I think the Steelers, though, this is the other thing. Like, this is sort of the historical part with the Steelers. They never value cornerbacks the way they do edge rushers and even, I think, elite defensive linemen. Like, they've just always been, through the years, a team. Like, if you were trying to list the best cornerbacks for the Steelers since Mel Blount and Rod Woodson were around, or separately, obviously, you'd have Ike Taylor as your answer, probably. And Ike Taylor was a good football player, but he was not like a world beater.
Maybe he's never even been... Yeah, Porter Jr., sorry, Chris, never even been a Pro Bowler, an All-Pro, none of that.
Well, I will say this, though. I'm not dogging the guy because I think he is an extremely talented player. He has allowed exactly 1 touchdown in his career. His passer rating against when he's been targeted, whole career, 71. Like, he is that dude in a lot of ways, but he's not as good as he thinks. He doesn't travel across the field. He lines up on one side the way like Richard Sherman, for example, did, and no one thought Sherman was better than Darrelle Revis, who did travel. And the team just historically does not value his position as much as they do certain other ones.
Did Todd Monken make the right decision?
No, but Todd Monken didn't make the decision. The owner did when he signed him in the first place. Like, they were always going to – I mean, I don't know. It just seems so obvious to me from the outside looking in that this tortured fan base you guys have up there that has to deal with, like, the Shadur people who are also insane but actually correct in this case because he's slightly better, are being held hostage by an owner that's like, I paid $230 million to bring this guy here in the most humiliating trade in league history, and then contract signing, I'm going to get something out of it, damn it. Like, I don't even. How could it possibly be Todd Monken's decision?
The owner's building a $2.6 billion stadium, and he's going to ask people to spend tens of thousands of dollars on PSLs next month. Why would he want to upset everybody?
I mean, because I think that is superseded by his desire to say the $230 million I spent on the car equivalent of a gigantic lemon.
He's on the record saying that he was a swing and a miss. That's a quote, that Deshaun Watson was a swing and a miss.
So but Ken, you guys both watch the games the same as I do. You really think that there is a football actionable reason why Todd Monken, I would assume
not based on what
guy,
we saw, but if he's saying what he's saying, which is everything in the building, because I keep pointing out that he keeps mentioning the word operations. What's operations? Knowledge of the offense and being able to get the information to your teammates.
Man, that sounds like something you're saying when you're trying to justify a backup quarterback versus the guy who's third string.
Yeah, because they're probably both not long for Cleveland, and I know Deshaun Watson isn't. And I know it's a very hard thing to make out for people, but I mean the truth is the truth. Like when he got hired, like he thought he could probably save Deshaun Watson to some level. There's no saving. I'm not defending Deshaun Watson. But, Chris, like, there are things that are part of this. Like, I'm not going to put Shedeur Sanders out there in harm's way if he can't get the information out to his teammates, and then he's going to cause himself his own problems.
Isn't that the bigger problem, that Shedeur is now fully in his second year in the league, and I know Monken's new and everything else, but that he's not relaying the information? Like, he's supposed to be more the cerebral player because he's never been a great athlete. That would trouble me if the guy that was supposed to get by on, if he was ever going to be good, anticipating routes and having a pretty decent understanding of how to play the position, isn't doing some of the basic stuff necessary to play the position.
No, maybe we found out why he was a fifth-round pick, and when you switch up offenses like that every year, I mean, it's going to put you behind the eight ball a little bit now, isn't it?
Yes, but also he was a fifth-round pick because he's like a pretty mediocre athlete with a mediocre arm, and if he wasn't Deion Sanders' kid and everyone had this ridiculous expectation that he would be the greatest athlete in the history of the position, he might not have even gotten drafted.
Okay, but what did you just say about how he was as a quarterback? Like,
I understand that. I get it. Like, we're finding out,
Like, Dylan Gabriel's
is not good.
Dylan Gabriel is called a supercomputer in his own right. Just because he knows the information doesn't mean he can actually do it out there in the field.
Dylan Gabriel is a supercomputer in the way that those mainframes from the 1950s are supercomputers that nobody would actually use them.
See, but those took up an entire room. Dylan Gabriel.
Okay.
Dylan Gabriel. Okay, I'm not going to say.
I was about to say, you go after another show for that type of stuff, you better keep it above board. All right, Chris, bye-bye.
Bye.
Chris Muller, 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh.
Being John Malkovich, where they got that half floor.
Yes, I've seen it. Yes. I've seen it many times over. I love that movie. I love John Cusack. I love John Malkovich. It's a tremendous movie. Thanks to Ken Wyman. Thanks to Tony Pike. Thanks to Chris Muller as well. All on the Wise Heart Right. We make it right. Call Kyle Right hotline. All right. Well, notice I asked if Todd Monken made the right decision. They all knew exactly what we were talking about. And a former NFL QB believes he knows the real reason why Shedeur Sanders lost the QB race. Aha! Who was it? We'll tell you in 5 on The Fan.
State Route 176 northbound, the left lane is blocked because of a crash. And just so folks on the west side don't feel left out, I-90 eastbound, there are problems at Crocker Road because of a crash. Jeff Thomas, Odyssey Cleveland Traffic.
Hear from Todd Monken immediately after the game. The official Browns postgame show is only on 92.3 The Fan.
Coming up at 8:45, no, we cannot keep his name out of our mouths. And you can thank Deshaun Watson for that. I asked all three guys during around the AFC North if Todd Monken made the right decision. And all three, without even having to ask on what, they all knew what we were talking about. They all knew why the question was asked. Ken Wyman was pretty about it. Tony Pike was a little bit more.
They seemed like they were in agony trying to answer the question.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, whoa, boy, can't imagine that situation.
Chris Sims, he was on Pro Football Talk. He says he knows why Shedeur Sanders didn't win the job. Do you understand that? Do you get why?
I'm very intrigued to hear this.
Well, let's hear it.
Watson took that approach a little bit more of, okay, I'll trust what my coach says and see what my limits are and do that, where I think Shedeur went to your point and what you said before. Oh, I'm not sure. This competition's close. Let me just take the safe way out, check the ball down. And that's kind of in line with what I heard during the start of camp. And then, of course, we heard Chauncey Gardner-Johnson of the Bills echoing that last week.
All right, what's your thoughts on that when you hear it? Because I got annoyed by... And you can go back to the tapes last week if we have them still. I got annoyed by the whole conversation around it. Not because it made me uncomfortable or anything. I'm like, yeah, why am I going to rip? First off, C.J. Gardner-Johnson is one of the... Now I'm going to give my opinion before you. I'm sorry. C.J. Gardner-Johnson is one of the greatest trash talkers of this generation. And that's documented, well documented. Yeah, this is a guy who's going to try... He's going to try to play Shedeur's ego against him. Apparently, they're friendly with each other. And so it's like, hey, can I get him into making a mistake? And I'm thinking, why? You're in a practice. If you're struggling to get the offense or you're not far along in the offense, there ain't nothing wrong with checking down and making 2nd and 6 instead of a turnover. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, eventually, yeah, you're gonna have to put it on them. You can't be check downs forever, but you're in training camp. And you're going into your second year with a new offense. That sounds like a great big fat excuse, but I'm just looking at it for this year because, again, you look where he was drafted. Some people don't want to accept that. And you look about where the future is. Okay. So if he wants to check it down, he wants to check it down. Now, but Chris Sims, he's a former NFLer. Wasn't for very long, but he's a former NFLer. So what do you think about what Chris Sims says?
This is going to drive people crazy because... What is the one thing distinguishable about Shedeur that we have seen in the 7 games last year, in the preseason games, both Chicago and Buffalo, and from the stuff we've seen in practice?
Tell me what.
That he throws the ball down the field. So to hear that from somebody, and is Sims just basing that?
Oh, I think I know where you're going.
On what he heard originally, and then just one taunt from it seems a little flimsy. Had he have said, oh, I've been talking to a bunch of people within the building, and it's pretty clear that Shedeur is doing this one way just to survive. It didn't kind of come off like that to me. So I don't know that he has a ton of evidence to even back that up. If anything, I think the offense you're going to see with Deshaun is going to be very carefully procured, very carefully curated, throw-by-throw, bootleg out, safe throw to the tight end, screen, RPO. I don't think you're going to be seeing Deshaun Watson take a ton of shots once the season starts.
Yeah, this isn't going to be the greatest show on turf when Deshaun Watson goes out there. I mean, he's afraid to throw the ball. He's afraid to let it rip.
Oh, over the middle?
He's afraid to let it rip.
Does anybody, including Todd Monken, want to even see him throw the ball over the middle of the field? I don't think so.
If I were in Chris Sims' position, I don't blame you for not paying a lot of attention to the Browns.
So he's thinking of old Deshaun.
No, it's not even that. They probably did some prep. Like, Anthony, if you're like, hey, I need to talk about the Cardinals today. We got to talk about the Cardinals. Well, guess what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to have to scramble and find some Cardinals stuff because I barely know what the hell's going on other than Jacoby Brissett down there. That's all I know. I ain't paying attention to the Cardinals. And I'm sure he's like, I'm not paying attention to the Browns. Like, yeah, Shedeur Sanders is a very popular person and he moves the needle, but we all know this. Like, he hosts that show with Mike Florio, and we like Mike Florio coming on the show. We've mixed it up with him several times.
Miles works on the show,
Miles Simmons works there. Like, we've had some fun with Florio. But we all know that Florio has had certainly his problems with the Browns and their management over these last few years.
Throw him in jail.
He did want a Cleveland Browns player thrown in jail the morning after, and he was on the air with us when he said that.
Holy cow.
And we got into a big argument over that. Mike Florio definitely pays attention to the Browns. Plus, Mike Florio grew up a Steelers fan. He's in Western PA, so, yeah, it's going to play into that a little bit. And you got Chris Sims, who's a former quarterback, who probably read the stories, read about C.J. Gardner-Johnson calling him out in the joint practice, tried to put 2 and 2 together, and that's it. But, yeah, you're right. I got one guy who's afraid to throw the football. And that guy who is afraid to throw the football is not Shedeur. It's the guy who won the job. So I don't believe it's not that he's misinformed. It's just he didn't do enough. But he probably had to cram because he ain't paying attention to the Browns this year. That's where I'm at on Chris.
Yeah, I just think of all the reasons to say that Deshaun beat out Shedeur, to act like it's because it's Deshaun Watson pushing the boundaries, pushing the limits down the field. Hasn't really been the case.
Yeah, it hasn't been the case. 216-474-0092. When you talk to the other guys, like, it is weird. Like, you go from this quarterback competition to now it's like, all right, Deshaun Watson's your guy, but nobody really likes talking about him outside of Cleveland, and people in Cleveland don't like talking about him. There is a deflating feeling as a fan. Not just because of Saturday, but it's like, oh, man, we're going back to this well. And I know at 8:45 there's people telling us to keep somebody's name out of our mouth. Do we just need to raise the white flag on the whole ownership thing?
You mean that
it feels like you and I are the only people who
because everybody thinks Shedeur was better or is better. At least our fans mostly do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the hosts here at the station do. I mean, the afternoon show is telling us every day that it was decisive that Deshaun Watson got conquered in this battle against Shedeur Sanders. And yet the coach didn't see it that way, so it must be the owner's decision. That seems to be what's permeating all these conversations.
Yeah.
And I don't understand.
I don't either.
I don't understand. I know they were talking about ego and
How often do we
hubris.
ever agree with each other? Give me a percentage.
It's more than it used to be, but it's...
Yeah, because we both don't think it's going to be a great season. But in general, we agree with each other 10% of the time? 15%? And you love to try to make me look bad. That's one of your calling cards. I won't try to make you look bad.
Can somebody explain to me...
And we agree with each other on this.
Because I heard Nick yesterday, Nick and Jonathan at 6 o'clock. Ego. Todd Monken's ego. Jimmy Haslam's ego. They don't want to admit failure. Didn't they already admit failure? Didn't Jimmy Haslam already admit failure?
We called it a swing and a miss.
The fact that they took Dylan Gabriel, the fact that they took Shedeur Sanders, that Sanders started last year, that he's in a competition this year, the fact that they added Kenny Pickett, they added Joe Flacco. Like, they brought in all these quarterbacks. It's an admission that it was a failure. The fact that they took down all the signage, the fact that they, for the first time in years, it seems like actually acknowledged that Deshaun Watson was on the football team right before he started that first preseason game, and they put out social media. The fact that we know that if he actually played well, that they'd have to figure out what's next for Watson. Like, if he took him to the playoffs and played well, what they're going to pay him more money and do a new contract with him after he has sunk the franchise and the decision has sunk the franchise, and that people call it the worst trade in maybe sports history.
Oh, there's no maybe about
ego.
It's the worst trade in sports history.
Why would that be an ego move?
I don't know. I wish I could tell you.
They already deemed it was a failure.
I wish I could tell you why. I just think that people are so gobsmacked that he is here again. There's only one. The only reason I can say that people aren't crazy is we always find these things out later on. Like, people thought we were full of it when we talked about trading for him in the first place. And who spearheaded that? And finally, we were proven right. But in this, Todd Monken wasn't here. Todd Monken shows up. A lot of the characters have changed. The ownership's the same. So you only put 2 and 2 together. And because you haven't won and the Bucks got to stop somewhere, you're going to go to the ownership. Because the ownership could step right in there and go, he's not playing. We're not playing him. Absolutely not. But I don't know what you can do. Like when Ken Wyman, I think he said, where it's like you can keep him staying home. You can do what the Texans did and pay him to stay home. It's like he wasn't playing for his career then. He's playing for his career now. Like you have a players union that is obligated to raise hell if you were to tell him to stay home. I'd love for him to stay home. I'd love to have conversations about Shedeur, Dylan Gabriel, and Taylor Green and never have to talk about Deshaun Watson. I'd love to sit here without just under a year away from the draft and talk about Darian Mensah for an entire hour before Deshaun Watson. Or how about the Guardians that have won 6 in a row? They just can't let it happen because he does have the right to work. And now he's playing for his career.
Although, why did Breer say yesterday, and do you agree with this, that Deshaun Watson couldn't be a backup? He made it sound like he couldn't be a backup and they'd have to cut him.
Let me answer that in 5 minutes, as well as you're telling us to keep his name out of our mouths. I'm sorry, guys. We've only just begun. And you can thank Deshaun Watson for that. And Joe Thomas coming up at 9 on The Fan.
It's Anthony Lima for Expert Renovations, LLC. Right here in Northeast Ohio, Justin, the CEO, and his entire team of experienced vets. They certainly know how to help you out when you are in a bind. Say you're a new homeowner and you realize very quickly after that first storm, you are in over your head. It certainly happened with me. You start to realize, oh, there are a bunch of cracks in the armor here. There's a bunch of things that can go wrong. And it does take that first storm to kind of drive that point home. Good news is Expert Renovations, LLC, can help you out because they can make sure that your house has everything shored up for the very next time, especially with the work that's going to be done. That is all going to be backed by a 30-year lifetime protection plan. A lot of companies say that they stand by their work, but they put it in writing at Expert Renovations, a lifetime guarantee on materials and labor. They come back year after year after year, whether it is
SportsRadioNetworksLLC.com. As the kids get back to school, get back to the football news you need. The radio home of the NFL and Cleveland Browns is 92.3 The Fan.
Usually I let you do this, but you haven't seen it so far, but I've been inundated. Now that we have a starter, there are a lot of fans, well, excuse me, not Browns fans. There are a lot of the Shedeur fans that are saying, now keep his name out of your mouth. He's your backup. And I went, oh, I'm sorry, friends, but we've only just begun.
Well, what's the most famous?
Was that a good line? Did I sound like Carl Weathers there a little bit? No? Okay.
What's the most famous, one of the more famous adages in football? That the backup's the most popular dude in town.
Especially in Cleveland. And in this
case, he legitimately is.
Don't get mad at us that we're going to continue to talk about Shedeur Sanders. Get mad at Deshaun Watson for doing what he did on Saturday afternoon.
Well, and the fans would rather see Shedeur, so they're gonna voice their displeasure.
This is it. This is what happened on Saturday. This is how it went down. Now, it is history. The backup quarterback. Like I sent to somebody else. I go, man, we had a backup quarterback launch his own barbecue sauce here. Like, that's how popular he was.
That's right, yeah.
Backup QBs are a big damn deal here in Cleveland, Ohio, because usually our starting quarterbacks end up sucking up the room. We got to look forward to somebody, right? And then Deshaun Watson did what he did on Saturday. So there were a bunch of people who were Browns fans, just regular Browns fans. And they're going, man, this quarterback, you guys sit here and call this thing a competition. This is a race to the bottom. These are both terrible. And we had heard that for months. And, hey, you know what? Maybe you were right. Didn't think you were totally wrong, but, we'll see where it goes. And then Deshaun said what he said on Saturday and showed his ass to the entire fan base. And then he tried to walk it back a little bit, even though the guys who corrected me yesterday, you were right. Guys on social media, my own boss at Fox, they go, Kenny, you didn't apologize for nothing. I go, no, that's true. But when he did what he did, even the people who were like, this is ridiculous, these crazy Shedeur fans, these people saying all these nasty things to Anthony, these nasty things to me. No, now they're all in on Shedeur after what Deshaun Watson did. You've been through how much, for how long, watching other teams get their guy and do what they did, and then this guy's going to turn around and blame it on you for doing what you're supposed to do as a fan of a professional sports franchise? Because there's no fan base out there that's just going to sit on their hands after the last 4 years and go, oh, yeah, it's perfectly acceptable. Like, no. So now you got everybody talking about Shedeur going, really? He couldn't win the job over this goof? Like, yeah, man. So now,
well, you remember last year. I wonder how.
Go ahead.
I wonder how different. Sorry, I wonder how different it's going to be this year. Like, do you remember when media was seeking out some kind of contribution from Shedeur Sanders? Remember the mime quote after the game where he was just kind of having fun with the media, and then that got blown up on whether or not he should be talking. It's like, well, he actually didn't talk. He just opened his mouth. And whether that was just an immature thing or was that just a lighthearted moment?
I thought it was more lighthearted.
Well, it was. I mean, it was kind of funny to me. But are they going to be seeking him out? And honestly, is it up to him now to kind of get out of there?
If I could say anything, we've only had passing waves and hellos, and he's been very nice. That's it. If I could say anything, go duck into the trainer's room. Because the guy ahead of you, I just wrote down.
Let him implode?
No Browns fan thinks that the guy ahead of you is going to do well. Mm-hmm. So who do we look forward to? So whether you're Kelly Holcomb, whether you're Brian Hoyer, whether you're Shedeur Sanders, we're going to look forward to you.
And if you're on the sideline, have the earpiece in. This goes for both these guys.
You didn't have the earpiece in last year?
No. At times, already even in preseason games, there have been times where a headset's on, an earpiece is in. Sometimes there's nothing on. Just don't even invite the conversation.
I don't remember
Just
that.
Be fully engaged, be close to the coach at all times, and just be ready. Because this could happen. If you're Shedeur, you've got to be ready literally at halftime of the opening game. We go back to the 2007 example. I feel like it's every day now. But how long did Charlie Fry last?
One game.
Half a game. Did he get benched at half?
That's how Deshaun Watson's career started. He did not start that first game in Houston. They brought him in like in the fourth series, and he ended up just taking over.
Was that against Cincinnati?
I think so.
Because the one play
He
against
ran all over
Cincinnati, yeah, he got knocked into Kentucky. Because I think it was on the road. Because you and I have fought about him tooth and nail, and that was back, before all the other stuff, and he was certainly a likable character. But nobody thinks that, even the most ardent Browns fan who can't stand the circus, can't stand the craziness, can't stand that, Shedeur Sanders, who was the Browns' 5th-round pick, has a sea of fans who are so ardent and so strong-willed for him and will attack online anybody who dare say anything negative about him. That changed on Saturday. That changed. They are full on now. Get this other guy out of here. Like you brought it up yesterday. I heard the promo too. They made it a promo yesterday when you said for the first time you think people are going to actively root against him. And I couldn't say you were wrong because I think they just want to move on from this. They don't think he's going to do very well, and they don't want anybody being tricked into making any bad decisions, meaning ownership, meaning Andrew Berry, anything. Like, I have no faith that he's going to do well. I don't think I can name a Browns fan who thinks that he's going to do well. Now, I bet as we get closer to September 13th, some people will come around and go, maybe we got a little bit of hope for this season and the other. But there's going to be very, very few. Far fewer than there ever have been. And you got a backup quarterback there that is immensely popular outside of Cleveland. And while Cleveland fans might have been annoyed over when are we going to get a real quarterback? When are we going to finally stop this? When are we going to really go in this direction? Yeah, after what Deshaun Watson did on Saturday, now it's made him even more of a talking point. So, yeah, if I were to say anything, it's like, yeah, if you don't want to be discussed, you're still going to be discussed because you're the backup. But if you don't want to be cornered by the media, because I can't control what they do in the locker room, probably go hide out in the trainer's room until you start, which will probably be week 3.
And honestly, I think last year he kind of already had gotten a crash course in this, and so I don't think that there will be any issue. And he just knows. Like, I think everybody in his corner is telling him, you just have to wait a few weeks, dude. This is probably not going to go well.
Yeah. But does anybody think it's going to go well for the guy ahead of him?
I do wonder what the teammates think. I honestly wonder, because you got to remember, players are so optimistic going into a season. A coach.
I'm talking about fans, though. Yeah. You're right. And his friends outside, they probably don't think. But yeah, you're right. Like, the team can't find guys who say nasty stuff about Deshaun. So yeah, you're probably right about that. But I think anybody on the outside is like, yeah, just probably that chance is going to come week 3. Because let me ask you this. Is the weather going to be clear for Jacksonville? Is the weather going to be clear for Tampa? They storms every day at some point in Tampa.
It's going to be hot, right? I mean,
okay.
It's just
he's from Georgia.
Humid, yeah.
But you know how he does in the rain. Because I did think about that when he was throwing ducks and getting picked off on Saturday. Where it's like, well, you remember the one time he was here in the rain?
You could put all his games in San Diego. You could put them all in Hawaii. Like, I don't know. It's going to matter at this point.
It's our fault. We didn't get the dome built fast enough. He'd have been an all-pro. There's somebody out there who believes that garbage. Coming up in 5 minutes. Hold on. Busk between you. Hold on.
We have got an all-time Hall of Famer coming your way.
I've heard of him.
Somebody who's going to be able to break down that offensive line, and I saw some really good things in that last preseason game.
No, I was hoping you were going to promote the Fan 15 VIP experience, your chance to win that, because he just texted me, and for a second I was like, oh, gosh, is there a... No, he's good to go. Joe's good to go. Joe Thomas coming up at 9:01. At 9 o'clock, your chance to go to Fan 15 with the VIP experience. You can always just go. That's a good time in itself. But the Fan 15 experience, you can get the VIP experience. It's going to be a lot of fun. Dave and Buster's, Westlake next week. We're going to be there. It's going to be a great time. Ghosts of Fan Pass will be there. It's going to be wonderful for everybody involved. We do hope we see you. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, Joe Thomas, the Hoff, and 5 on the Fan.
It's Anthony Lima for Mentality Health, and you've been hearing it from people like me that testosterone
of the game, Deshaun Watson was named the starter this week, and the backup, Shedeur Sanders, not going to play at the stadium tomorrow night. Want to catch highlights from The Fan from earlier today? Get over to 923thefan.com or favorite 923 The Fan on the Odyssey app for all today's headline segments. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 923 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Get to the 92.3 The Fan YouTube channel to see daily Browns breakdowns with Darryl Ryder and Coach Lance Reisland.
The great Joe Thomas joining us in seconds. But first, you can win VIP access to the Fan 15 celebration September 3rd at Dave & Buster's, including a pair of reserved seats, buffet dinner, and a pair of power cards. End of the word debate, D-E-B-A-T-E. By the end of the hour, 923thefan.com to get registered to win.
I want to thank people for listening on the free Odyssey app. There's people who are coming around on my connection that I made about the Guardians earlier today at the very opening segment.
Use the rewind feature.
Use that rewind feature to do so. It's absolutely free. It's on the free Odyssey app, and it's powered by Integrated Restoration, your local experts in water, fire, and storm disaster restoration. I got to mention that before the end of the show.
I got to say something that's really close to my heart.
What?
Anytime we talk about Cavs, it's brought to you by Surfside Hard Iced Tea. Drink responsibly.
With a tear in Owen's eye, he says it. Let's go to the Wise Heart Right, We Make It Right, call Kyle Wright hotline. And we welcome in Joe Thomas, Browns legend, Hall of Famer. You know him, you love him. Hello, Joe.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Doing well. A lot of Browns fans not thrilled. Press conference on Saturday didn't go well for Deshaun Watson. I mean, you're a former player. I'm sure you've played. Now, people have loved you basically since day one. You've been frustrated. You played around players that are frustrated. You played around players who will win after fans. What is the difference between, our room and us talking to fans and that locker room with those players and what had transpired on Saturday afternoon with Deshaun Watson?
Well, I'm sure all the players in that locker room that pay attention, and I say with the qualifier that pay attention because not every player in the locker room is listening to the ins and outs of every media conversation and every interview, but certainly they obviously heard about the comments that Deshaun made, and I'm sure they winced because there is one hard and fast rule in pro sports that if you go after your own fan base, you're going to lose just about no matter what it is, and especially when you're in Deshaun Watson's situation, giving up a king's ransom. You guys talked about the worst trade in the history of sports. Even owner Jimmy Haslam has said, swing and a miss. And there's been no return for the pain that the fan base has endured bringing Deshaun in thus far. If he plays well, he wouldn't get booed, but he has not played well. He's been injured. There's obviously been the legal cloud that happened right when he got here. So, yeah, the fans are upset. And then to go after the fans, you're just doubling down on the loss that you've already got. So it's not great. It puts players in that locker room in a difficult situation because now the first thing that happens is the media comes into the locker room. Like Ken used to try to torture me at my locker back when he was in the locker room when I was playing, stick the microphone in his face and say, hey, what do you think about what Deshaun said about the fans? And then now we have to answer for things that somebody else said about our fan base that was in the locker room.
Tone, one time, like in the very first days of the station, Chris Villar, when he worked here before he worked at the Ticket in Detroit, he went over to Joe and he's like, Joe, how you feeling? And Joe's like, pretty good. How are you feeling? Like because he was something about your knee, Joe, is what happened like in the early days of the Fan, and he had brought it up, and I went, yep, already I like him. Already we're off to a good start. It was you and Willis McGahee who are my favorites in the locker room. Willis McGahee for a totally different reason.
Yeah.
Very different reason. A lot of fun. Very free-spirited. We're all big fans of Willis McGahee. All right, Joe, another thing that you can only give us the inside track to, and then Tone, I got to let you take over here. So you said all these things, and I think a lot of people are driving going, then why did you make Deshaun Watson the starter? Well, with all these things. All right, well, there's definitely something in the building. There's definitely something operational, quote unquote. There's definitely something that we can't see at practice. What makes Deshaun Watson the starter to start the season and then make Shedeur the backup?
So Todd Monken, first-time NFL head coach. He's 60 years old, very well documented. He doesn't really care what anybody else thinks. He's going to make decisions on this day, what he feels is best for the franchise to win today. he knows that this is his probably one and only chance to be an NFL head coach. And so he doesn't have that history with Deshaun Watson or any of the other players that came here before him. And he doesn't really care. Like, his mission, and he's very direct with everybody, with everything he says, is, hey, I'm going to evaluate the team that I have right now based on these players, and I'm going to put the guys in for the first game of the season that I feel are the ones that give me the best chance to win. And when he has worked with these quarterbacks throughout the offseason and training camp, he's looking at his offense, which he's used to having a guy named Lamar Jackson, who's a two-play quarterback. He's said it a bunch throughout training camp. He wants a guy that can take the play at the line of scrimmage, see the defense, get to another play quickly, because his plays a lot of times have two plays just built into the call where they're automatically able to read the defense, get into the right play based on what was called and what the defense is showing you, and then execute it. And throughout the course of the play, hey, if things break down, he can now win with his legs, possibly scrambling, getting a first down, or getting outside the pocket and possibly making a play, throwing the football down the field, extending the play. He feels like that is Deshaun Watson as of today, even though it was very obvious calling the game over the weekend that Deshaun Watson played like poo and Shedeur Sanders played very well. However, there's context that's involved in Todd Monken's mind, what he's seen throughout the totality of training camp, what he's seen in the meeting rooms, and also understanding that in the preseason, there's just really not much of the playbook that you put out there. You are basically installing everything you possibly could have, but when you go into a game plan and you go into a week, you are tailoring your playbook for that team that you're playing against, and it becomes very much more complex. Defenses are quite a bit more complex, and Todd Monken is telling us, hey, this is not a decision for the whole season. This is a decision for week one. Who's going to be able to get to the line of scrimmage against the Jacksonville Jaguars and operate the offense as I designed for week one in the best manner possible? And he's telling us he believes that's right now Deshaun Watson. And you know what, as much as the timing is about as bad as it could be with how Deshaun played on Saturday and then the comments that he made after the game, and then of course the history he has with the fan base, like, this is Todd Monken saying, I don't care about any of that. I'm making a decision to try to win week one. And I think as a player who lived through the 1-31, the rebuild or the tank, whatever you want to call it, I think I am a little bit sensitive, and maybe the fan base could be a little bit, to the idea of, like, we're already playing for next year or the year after, and we're just trying to gather resources, because that was painful, and we saw what it can do to set back a franchise, but also a head coach, right, who feels like, I am not actually being tasked with being the best team this year. And I think Todd Monken doesn't want to do that. He wants to try to win today, and then if tomorrow he needs to make a different decision at quarterback because that guy gives us the best chance to win, I think he's going to do that. And I know it's really tough for me, for you guys, for the fan base to try to reconcile with that because of the history we have. Like, that's not one of the things that is in Todd Monken's mind right now, and it's just the way it is because he doesn't really care about any of that other stuff right now. He's just trying to win week one.
Joe Thomas with us on the hotline. So Deshaun Watson supposedly had a pretty solid day of practice yesterday, but some of the reporting was interesting that now they're ratcheting up the RPO stuff, that him and Quidshawn were there in the backfield, and that was a big part of something that they were starting to put in. So is it safe to say that, you know, Todd Monken, this is where he's going to put his stamp, knowing what he was using last year with Lamar Jackson, the last few years? Now, this might be what the offense is going to truly look like when it comes to Deshaun Watson in week one.
Yeah, well, you guys probably saw a bunch of training camp like I did, and you saw little sprinkles of what that offense is probably going to look like during the season. And it does have a lot of those RPOs, those zone reads, those two-play opportunities for the quarterback. And I think that's probably one of the reasons, among, you know, a long list of evaluations that he made at that quarterback position, that he's favoring Deshaun Watson right now, because he likes his ability to pull the football, to run some of those RPOs, those zone reads, and give us a weapon running with the quarterback position, which Shedeur is not a great running quarterback. He is slippery, I would say. He has an ability to squeak out of the pocket and make guys miss, and you see that playmaking ability, but he's just not the athlete that Deshaun is.
Joe Thomas joining us here on the Wise Heart Right. We make it right. Call Kyle Right hotline. Well, how tough is that to then meld that? Because it's a very unpopular decision with the fans. And Todd, I know, can't care, but he's got to care because he's going to be asked about it every single waking moment of the day that he's with the media until a change is made. Do we lose Joe?
I'm listening. Oh. I thought there was a question in there, maybe somewhere. Was that just a declarative statement?
Well, no, I asked how tough is that for Todd when he makes that decision?
Yes, it's very tough, Ken. It's incredibly tough. Yes, because you're right. I mean, it is so unpopular. He has to know that. I mean, he knows that. The people in the PR department, they know that. Like, it's very obvious, but I think he doesn't have any of that history, and he just doesn't care at this point. But here's the one thing that he'll never say, nobody in the organization is going to say, but I guarantee it's in their mind as they made this decision. They know they start on the road for the first 2 weeks, and then they come home week 3. How Deshaun does in those first 2 weeks, he must play well. I would say he's probably got to win at least one out of those 2 games, or they're probably going to make a decision to change the quarterback and put Shedeur in for week 3, because can you imagine what that stadium would be like, and the distraction and the challenge of overcoming your own fan base? If you go 0-2, Deshaun doesn't play very well. And then week 3, he's the starter at your home opener. And after the reception that he got in the preseason game last Saturday, and then the comments that he made, like, there's no way that he wants to walk into that. And that has to weigh into the decision that he's made for the first couple games, and specifically this first game, and then thinking about coming home at week 3.
You played on good offensive lines. You played on rough offensive lines that you were the crown jewel of. Tell fans how they will know that Spencer Fano is doing a good job, even if the rest of the offensive line, which is a bunch of perfect strangers before this training camp started, even if the rest of the offensive line struggles.
Well, I think it's going to be tricky. I mean, evaluating O-line play, it takes a high level of football IQ, something that only guys like me and Ken Carman really, really, truly have, because you got to watch the guy on every single play, and it helps to understand the concept of the play and kind of what they're being asked to do. But I do think that you've seen great progress from him. You've heard his teammates praise him, especially Jared Verse, a guy that was kicking his butt early on in training camp, and he kind of went nose to nose with him, and they had a little tussle, and I think he earned a lot of respect from everybody for the type of competitor he is. But I think you're going to see good performance out of him. I think he's going to steadily improve during the season, like a lot of rookies, like you hope that rookies do. But I think when you watch him out there, of course he's going to get beat. He's a rookie, but I don't think he's going to get beat often. I think he's going to be very steady and consistent. And I think you're going to see some great play from him, and I'm excited to watch him. I mean, I think he's got a really, really bright future. He's already shown that he's taking this very seriously, and this is important. This is his identity. He's a left tackle. He wants to be a great Pro Bowl tackle in Cleveland for a long time. And I think when you combine that skill set that he has that made him the first offensive lineman off the board, and you combine that with the great attitude and the mentality that he brings to the position, I think the sky's the limit for that guy.
What did you think overall of the offensive line? We know they struggled big time in the running game to start out in the first preseason game, but it seemed like for Shedeur, they were on lockdown. They were doing a terrific job, keeping that pocket where it needs to be.
Yeah, first preseason game, the first offensive line, I think, did a good job in protection. There was not any lanes in the running game, so the running game was not very good. But they only played a handful of plays, and then it really fell off after that. But to your point, the joint practice against Buffalo, they were opening up some nice running lanes. I was thinking about Dylan Sampson on that run at the second half of practice. He's running an outside zone to his left, and he didn't even have to make a cut. I mean, there was a huge gash. Spencer Fano opened up, and he went 50 yards or so down the field, and that was something you're seeing consistently in that joint practice. When it was good on good, there was lanes in the running game. There was opportunities for a lot of yardage, and they didn't have Quinshon Judkins. And then you saw that carry over into the preseason game. There was plenty of space for the running back to be able to make yards, and the protection, the pockets were excellent. And one of the reasons we saw Shedeur Sanders play so well is he had a great pocket for that entire first half. And even when the second and third teams came in, I think the offensive line protected very well and opened up some nice running lanes. So I'm pretty optimistic, actually, that even though these are 5 new offensive linemen, I think it's a team on the offensive line that's going to gel really quickly, and they're going to be a big and physical running presence. And that's why they brought those guys in there. They brought George Warhop, who was my O-line coach for a long time. We called him General George because he's a tough guy. He's old school. He's blue collar. He demands physicality and attention to detail. And I think you're going to get that in the running game. So I think they're going to be able to run the football, and I think this is going to be an offensive line that is going to be one of the bright spots on this team.
You can bring jerky to a deer stand, to a deer blind?
I hope you do. It's a crime if you don't. What else are you going to eat?
I never have.
Acorns?
I never have. I was afraid. I was afraid the scent would throw them off.
No, it'll bring them in. They love jerky. You ever thrown jerky out there on your bait pile? Oh, man, that is the secret sauce. It's better than apples.
I never did. I just was like, well, they're probably going to smell this, so I can't do it. And I've had buddies who have done it, but I never did it. So, of course, everybody knows you got Hall of Fame Farms going. Fall's around the corner. There is a chance to get the discount on the monthly subscription to the jerky. Great for snacks, for lunches, for the kiddos. Also, great to take. Which now I'm learning now. I guess I can take it. I can't get up in a deer stand because that's going to be bad for me. But I can still take it into the deer blind, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, everybody knows that old timer that smokes a pack a day, that's just chain smoking in the deer stand, that shoots the big 10-pointer. So you got to play the win, Ken. I'm telling you right now. Don't let that bait pile down win. But it's the secret of all secrets. Throw that Hall of Fame jerky on your bait pile. You'll have every 10-pointer, every monster buck within the area coming in like clockwork, baby. And you'll be happier, too, because then you can enjoy a nice snack. You can spend more time in the deer stand. And if you're a mom out there, you're throwing these in your kid's backpack. Now that school has just started for my kids, it was yesterday, they're going to be the most popular kid in class. You don't want to miss out. And like Ken said, we got the jerky subscription so that you get to order, you sign up. We got a nice little discount going right now on the monthly subscription. And the beauty is then you don't have to think about it. And then those delicious morsels of beef are showing up at your door on a monthly basis. You can pick your flavors. My favorite is the bourbon. My kids, they really like the barbecue, little sweetness. My son, Jack, he likes the teriyaki, but that's all personal preference because whatever you go with, it's amazing, and it'll make you a successful hunter this fall.
Bourbon beef, peppered beef, barbecue, as you had just said. They have ass kicker beef jerky, the teriyaki, and with the with a kick beef jerky as well. Hall of Fame Farms. HallOfFameFarms.com, okay? I think people know where it is. I'm sure they've looked, but there's also a discount that's involved. You can get the All-Star Pack, the Rookie Pack, the Hall of Famer Pack. It's all there for you. Joe, can't thank you enough for the time. I appreciate the advice on the deer stand. I appreciate your time. We do, and we'll talk to you again shortly.
Thanks for having me on, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Joe Thomas, Hall of Famer of the Cleveland Browns, Hall of Famer of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, legendary Hall of Famer of people. On the Wise Heart Right, we make a right call, Collar Right hotline. Are you accepting of his question or of his answer about Todd Monken? He wasn't accepting of my question about something else, but still.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty clear. Like he didn't think Deshaun Watson played that much better or anything. Obviously saw that he was there for that last preseason game, but he did say behind the scenes, the teammates seem to have actually rallied around Deshaun Watson, and I think that's very interesting because that's not being taken into consideration at all from the fans.
We had to say this morning, as much as the fans are not liking this, I mean, there's signs downtown, the whole thing. You're not hearing any leaks or anything like that about teammates. And
if they wanted Shedeur to start, you would know it.
Or if they wanted him benched, you'd know it, is what you're saying.
If they thought Shedeur Sanders should have won the starting job.
Shedeur.
You would have heard it already.
I was thinking of Deshaun. Yes, you are right about that. 216-474-0092. And coming up at 9:43, I'm only talking about this year's baseball team. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on the Fan.
We have great people, a lot of fun. And Mondays, it's you and I to ourselves. We riff on life, pop culture, clips online, every stupid thing. So everybody out there, join us Mondays, Thursdays, Fly on the Wall, wherever you get your podcasts. It's a lot of fun, it's a lot of laughs, and it's a lot of stupidity.
Listen to 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn app.
They know they start on the road for the first 2 weeks, and then they come home week 3. How Deshaun does in those first 2 weeks, he must play well. I would say probably got to win at least one out of those 2 games, or they're probably going to make a decision to change the quarterback and put Shedeur in for week 3, because can you imagine what that stadium would be like and the distraction and the challenge of overcoming your own fan base? If you go 0-2, Deshaun doesn't play very well, and then week 3, he's the starter at your home opener, and after the reception that he got in the preseason game, and then the comments that he made, like, there's no way that he wants to walk into that, and that has to weigh into the decision that he's made.
That is Joe Thomas on the quarterback battle. Also said it was Todd Monken who made the decision. So it's us three, you, me, and Joe. What do you think about that? It's good company.
I wanted to use the term hubris on the radio to go after ownership.
Oh, you keep doing this. We got to host a show with those guys on next Thursday.
The ego involved. The ego. So Todd Monken's ego is going to get in the way of him trying to win, and the only chance he's ever going to have to be a head coach.
Why are you doing this? Why do you bait them like this?
I just think
you've gotten tired of baiting people who are Shedeur fans.
No, what happens is,
and now you're going to go back after the guys in the afternoon.
This is the oldest sports talk media trope, sports talk radio trope, which is if someone does something I don't agree with or understand, I am going to say they're trying to be the smartest person in the room.
Oh, so now you're calling them hacks.
I did not say that. You're putting words in my mouth.
You're not denying it.
It is something
that
gets...
you did actually deny.
It is something that gets lobbed all the time. Because if you just listen to their show in the afternoon and you didn't listen to anything else or see anything else or talk to anybody, you would think Deshaun Watson was, on a scale of 1 to 100, a 2 in training camp, and Shedeur Sanders was a 99. And yet, people that were actually there every single day, people that have talked to Brown staffers, people that have talked to the teams they went up against in either the joint practice, or they're all like, no, Deshaun Watson was better. So what reality are we living in? I think we're rooting so hard that we won't accept the reality, and then we'll throw things like ego and hubris and say they're trying to be the smartest people in the room, when maybe Deshaun Watson was just better. When he clocked in to the time he clocked out every single day, maybe, just maybe, he was just better. Does that mean that he's going to be better once the actual games start? I don't think he will be. I think Shedeur will be better. But that's not how they make the decisions. They're making the decisions. I mean, I guess you should project a little bit, but they don't think that Shedeur Sanders is very good and will be very good right away. They don't.
There's something else that's bothering me here, too. I mean, I'm not going to fight you on that. I don't want to go as far as to call out the guys in the afternoon. I mean, they have been really enraged here over the last couple of days. I mean,
But they're
in a froth every segment at some point.
Their opinion is not aligning with what the people are that are there every single day.
Yeah.
That are apparently the people that are talking to reporters. It's just a different reality, and it does make sense because, remember, Jonathan wore the jersey. He's invested.
Yeah, but then he's
100% invested.
Yeah, but then he said it was a cheap one.
Then he was less invested.
And it's a different number.
He was even less
right
invested.
Now.
Yeah.
I guess
we're all guilty of this.
Yeah, but
I wanted Deshaun Watson, so I built him up.
Didn't.
I built him up. I mean, I thought he was a top 5 quarterback, but by the time he was actually about to play for us, I'm like, guys, they might have the best quarterback. Like, you get invested and you start playing a little loose.
I'm glad you brought this up. I already had, and some people are like, oh my gosh, we're doing this already. I go, well, if it makes you feel any better, the original post I made was on March 30th. So it's not we're already doing it. It started a long time ago. I wrote 2027 QBs I'm watching for one reason or another. ... Missing anyone. And I wrote Arch Manning, Dante Moore, Julian Sayin, CJ Carr, Jaden Mayava, Sam Levitt, Brennan Sorsby, Lenore Sellers, Byron Brown, and Drew Mestamaker. Now I'm taking Sorsby out, and I'm putting Darian Mensah in. And you have called me out on this going, Ken's always right because he doesn't like anybody. He's afraid of everybody. I'm like, it's not that I'm afraid. I am very particular, and I am very much on the record. Did not want this situation on our hands. Did not want to trade for him. I guess I'm going to have to pick. If I got 10 guys there, can I pick 3 I'm happy with? I'm serious.
If they don't all go backwards. We saw over the last few years, quarterbacks go backwards from what we thought they would be. Except Mendoza. Fernando Mendoza was the one guy that went forward.
Now, there are a couple that kind of give me some red flags now, but I don't want to necessarily share why right now because I think we're in the thick of things, and I think my emotions might speak more than what I actually could see. Plus, they haven't played their seasons yet. So I'll pick 3 that I like, okay? That I'm willing the Browns, like I'll live with it. I'll be happy with it. Off we go. So we'll see whether or not I'm right or I'm wrong on this, okay? That's what we'll do. Because, I mean, let's be honest, guys. Like the one thing, I don't think it's the end of hope for Shedeur Sanders, but I think it's the end of excuses. And I also think that when it comes to this, like, you know, Todd Monken has taken a hellacious beating here. And you'll say rightfully so. He's done something immensely unpopular. The gloves are off. People are very upset. What if Shedeur Sanders comes in week 3, week 4, whatever, and he looks good? Does he do it in spite of Todd Monken and the Browns, or did Todd help him at all?
Yeah, I mean, I'll obviously.
Do we give any credit to the guy who's supposed to be brought in here to help the quarterbacks?
Just like it looked terrible for Hugh once Baker Mayfield played well. And Hugh was like, no, he needed to see things. He needed to do it. But fans won't believe that. Fans will just say you doomed the season with a quick 2 losses and bad quarterback play that you could have avoided had you just started him right off the bat.
Okay. So
that's just what's going to be said.
I can't make that argument that he's helped out Shedeur Sanders by not starting him right off the rip with a new offensive line.
You can make the winning argument. You can make the argument. It'll be a losing argument.
New offense
to fans. Fans will just be like, you wasted our time for 2 weeks. Okay. They don't believe. Fans do not believe that guys are getting better without just playing football and throwing passes.
But I had callers calling in earlier saying they agreed with me that I made a lot of sense. Like when I brought up the quarterback thing, it's like there's guys that we consider saviors, but you still need all these other things that I've highlighted. And there are people who agreed. So if we still need all these things that we highlighted, well, it will make guys in my secondary better to have a little bit of experience before just say week 3. Before week 3, before Shedeur Sanders takes over. It will make an offensive line that is all free agents and a rookie and possible one more rookie. It should make them better to have some experience before Shedeur, should it not? So can we not at all, we are not allowed to do it, saying that Todd Monken might be doing what he believes is best for Shedeur Sanders as well as Deshaun Watson and his football team.
I think that's an irrelevant possibility. He will not be given he'll get 0 credit for it.
Okay.
He will get 0 credit.
All right. I'm just asking what was true, and you gave me what was true.
See, it's funny. In fact, the Shedeur people don't know what to do with Monken praising him about how far he's come along. You know, when Aditi on CBS HQ...
Well, they think it's backhanded. A lot of fans might think it's backhanded.
And when Aditi on CBS HQ the other day said Deshaun was miles ahead of him in the spring, they start calling her a liar. And obviously she got that from the Browns. And they'll start calling the Browns liars, and everybody's lying.
Well,
because
everybody can't be lying.
In their mind, Shedeur was always way up here.
No.
So they don't know what to do with saying somebody worked hard and developed, and there's been good coaching. No, in their mind, Shedeur should have been the second or not, maybe even the first overall pick in last year's draft. He's always been better than Cam Ward. And by the way, Cam has looked rough in the preseason. But they've always believed that. So they will not want to cede that maybe he actually got coached up. To me, it's like maybe he took good coaching. Maybe he's coachable. Like, I don't think that's a negative.
Wouldn't the most QB desperate team in the NFL not lie about these things if they need a quarterback so badly?
Yeah, well, you got one on the roster right now.
I would say that if I wouldn't accuse him of lying, especially since it's been both. You could say that if you were an outsider and you just dropped in, you could certainly say that the Browns are inept and they hire inept people who don't know what the hell they're looking at. You could always try to do that. That happens all the time.
Yeah, problem is, though, if you're a Shedeur fan again, and that's all you care about, you don't care about the Browns, you are going to assume until he is a great quarterback, you're going to assume that every coach and every player and every offensive line is holding him back.
Well, as of right now, you're going to have...
Because in your mind, he's already there. They think he's generational. They think he's legendary. They won't.
That's
won't,
trademarked, isn't it?
They will. They say, do I have to now get out my checkbook? Oh man.
Oh, there'd be some people who'd love to tie you up in litigation.
Oh. But you see what I'm saying? Like, in their mind, there's no world where he's not that.
Yeah, but I told you last week, like when I had my meltdown there, I can't speak to those people. I don't, like, my mom watched football for 66 years. She never knew what she was looking at. Like, and that's why I think Browns fans roll their eyes. Like, a lot of Browns fans know what they're looking at. They know bad football because they've watched it for such a long time, so they know when something's not good. And I think that they hope, but they also know that our future's in the future, not now, not in the present. So I can't help those people. Like, I'm not going to have a fight with every person on the internet or every person who calls in who are listening as Shador fans. Like, if you couldn't see it, I can't help you. I hope he does well, but can't help you. And I hate that Deshaun Watson has won it, but I was ready and prepared for him to win the job, and he won the job. And he'll probably not be very good. All right, we got people who want to get in on this. So certainly after Joe told us what he told us. And I'm the only person, or I'm only taking this year when I talk about the Guardians. Not last year, not the year before. I only want to take this year into account when talking about this year's Cleveland Guardians. Let me explain. 5 minutes away at 9:42 on the Fan.
Hola, amigo. job done. Learn more at the Pro Desk, the Home Depot Pro. It's about time.
You can now watch The Fan live on YouTube. Catch The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima from 6 till 10 a.m. Baskin and Phelps 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. And Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin from 2 to 7 p.m. Each and every weekday. It's free. Subscribe to 92.3 The Fan on YouTube.
I think the Browns and what they're going through now are forcing me, not forcing me, to put the Guardians in a vacuum and just concentrate on this year for happiness. They've won 6 in a row. They're back over 500. They're 2.5 back of the Central. If the playoffs throw it down, they're in the wild card. They're in the postseason. You and I started the show. Then we talked about Ralphie Velasquez at 7:20, 7:45, and I wanted to mention this with you. Did you get what I was saying about treating them as a college football team? Did you understand that correlation at all, or no? Should I not even try? Because I was just trying to talk about them for this year, which to some people it's going to sound like a putrid excuse for the Dolan family, and I'm not trying to do that. But guys, I'm dealing with a basketball team that's really good. That they're the third best team ranked in the East, 5th overall according to the Ringer. Was it the Ringer? Or who was it that you sent? We'll talk about that. Yeah. They're the 5th best team in the NBA, according to the Ringer. But a lot of people are just down on them. You didn't get the LeBron sweepstakes. Yeah, you get a guy who helps, but
even though they
Watson,
got a ton of praise for the Watson move. Like, people think that Kobe Altman just out of thin air pulled a big-time wing that has a nice trajectory and is only 23 and is a freak athlete.
And it's pro sports. So this is what
make that the headline. Cleveland praises Watson move.
Yeah.
It's about time.
Boy, that'd be something. Who wrote that article, that takedown about the Browns just a moment ago?
Lindsey Jones.
Well, boy, I'd like her to misread that and go after you, buddy boy. That'd be great. I got a Cavs team that nobody's really jazzed up on. I got a Browns team that people are openly mad at. I got a Guardians team that I said last week and the week before, the only argument I could say that the season isn't over is to bring up last year. So if I'm going to be excited, I have to bring up only this year. And I treat them in a vacuum, partly because the other two teams in town, and the other part is that what I just said in the past. If I can't come up with a reason to be excited about this year's team last week, or to say that they're still alive, if I can't come up with a reason last week to say why they're still alive about this year's team, then I cannot sit there and say that I'm not excited if they make the postseason because I didn't think of anything to actually help them. If I couldn't think of anything to actually help, then I'm not part of the solution. So all I can do is go along for the ride. So I should be excited if they make the playoffs because I didn't see it coming, and here they are making the playoffs. Schedule merchant. You got to play the teams that are in front of you. That's why I bring up with college football. Like, I look at it as if this, and it's pro sports, so it doesn't correlate, but it's going to help me correlate, right? I got the Dodgers. The Dodgers can spend all the money in the world, or finance all the money in the world, apparently. Something that Lima desperately wants to bring up.
Money in the world.
Yes, and we can talk about that at some point. And next week's going to be a long week, Tone. I think you're going to get your time to shine. They're Ohio State. The Dodgers are the Ohio State of Major League Baseball. Go with me on this because I might do it tonight on TV, so tell me whether or not this is bad or I should just talk about Shador. Dodgers are Ohio State. The Cleveland Guardians, Purdue. You ain't got nothing. You got one in there. You got one team that is expected to win the World Series. Ohio State, odds-on favorite to win the national championship. They're ranked number 1. Purdue is not expected to go to a bowl game. I'm going to this year. If the Guardians go to the postseason, a bowl game, quote unquote, you only got to go 500. You only got to go 500 in college football. You only got to go 6-6 to be bowl eligible. Is that or is that not an accomplishment? I'm not talking about years past. Remember, I couldn't make an argument without using years past, so I can't use it in an argument against them.
I think you have to if you want to make this argument.
I can't.
Because Purdue is not a perennially on the same level as Ohio State.
Okay.
And the Guardians do perennially finish the regular season on the same level as the Dodgers.
Let me use a different one then. Can I use a different one? Maybe this will make more sense. We're workshopping here.
I'm getting closer to just telling you to do Shador tonight.
No, listen. What about Minnesota? Famously, they spend on. They spend. No, seriously. Now I know where I'm at. Famously, they spend on other teams and other sports. They do not take football the way that they maybe should as a Big Ten team. PJ Fleck usually keeps them above 500, keeps them in bowl games. With their spending compared to Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, they shouldn't be. USC, Oregon, they shouldn't be in the bowl game, and they find themselves in it. Can I liken them to Minnesota? Because there's teams like Wisconsin, and they just, well, we ain't got no money. We can't do nothing about this. Okay, that's the Royals. Anything? Because I can't use last year as an argument if I can't use it to help this year.
I think it's just where I'll be is
fine. I'll talk Shador.
It'll be good if they make the playoffs. I'm not gonna be texting all my group threads and going, "We did it." Like that's just not where we're at as a fan base.
I agree with you.
It is expected for them to do it, and when they do it, we'll get excited when the playoffs start.
I'll be happy for them if they make
the playoffs. But especially a bunch of young guys.
Show me what you can do now. I'm not going to be a guy that says, well, they didn't win the Eastern Conference Finals, so who cares? Or the AL championship, who cares?
Well, they're never going to be Ohio State, where I'm like, all right, did you beat Michigan? Did you win the national championship? No. Oh, Ryan Day's on the hot seat. Like, I'm not doing that. I don't have them up as the Dodgers. If I were the Dodgers, I would be, hey, if I were the Mets. You spend all that money. I have World Series aspirations for you.
Like Texas A&M?
I don't have that for the Guardians.
Not with Mike Elko, but with Jimbo Fisher, they were spending money left, right, and center. They were the New York Mets of college football. Can I use Arkansas?
I'm gonna respectfully say, Nick,
I tried.
Just go ahead and help him write that Shador script.
I tried. I tried as hard as I could. I'm trying to find a way to keep it in a vacuum and not sound like I'm making an excuse for the Dolans. Is that impossible to everybody? Let's go around the room real quick. Lima?
Impossible.
Owen?
I don't think it's impossible.
But it's very unlikely.
It's the hand we're dealt.
John? He ain't listening. He's working.
Mike was off.
Oh, what do you think? Yes, no?
What?
Yes.
About Ralphie Velasquez?
Oh, my God. Get him off. Goodbye. 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 All right. Blessings to all of you. Hope you guys have a great day. Thanks to Joe. Thanks to everybody around the AFC North. Mary Kay tomorrow, 8:20. It's Browns game day tomorrow, friends. It's Taylon Green Day, everybody. Even though Dylan Gabriel's going to start. But it's Taylon Green Day, everybody.
If he plays well, will people say that should be the guy?